Check, check. Back again. Men on Trek, episode number 7. The long-awaited Mirror Mirror episode.
The episode's so nice they named it twice.
Yeah.
Mirror Mirror.
I think it says Admiral looks good in red, Keith, and I think I'm me. I think the gentlemen across from me are Captain James T. Palpatine, Captain Mark Daystrum, and our faithful Lieutenant Audio Arthur, who makes all this work. Nobody's packing knives and nobody's carrying an agonizer, so I think everybody's...
Oh, no, I got your agonizer.
You got your agonizer.
I got your agonizer. I snuck it in.
Well,
Now, we need that sound, Arthur.
we need to merchandise that. Can we merchandise that?
Men on Track agonizer.
Agonizer, yeah.
Yeah, you got to now. Thank you, Admiral. You got to generate an agonizer sound.
Yeah. I'll get a soundbite going.
no, I want an actual product that counts as a low-level taser in most states. Otherwise, it's not working.
That can be built. It's not that hard.
It can be.
I just want,
You remember?
5,000
It's like
volts.
remember the 9-volt batteries. You put your tongue on them. You could do that sort of a.
No, I want a little. I need a little more.
You need more
I need
than
somebody. I need somebody to know they got zapped.
That's right.
But Mirror Mirror, season 2, episode 4, original air date October 6, 1967. One of our definite favorites, and
Definitely top 10.
Top 10.
everyone agrees. There have been many surveys over the years, and it always lands in the top 10, somewhere between number 3 and number 6 generally.
Wow. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
There's a lot to this episode.
There is
Look,
a lot
there's too much to cover in one man on track.
Well, let's see.
Let's try not to go
Our
down a rabbit
prediction.
hole.
it's a rabbit tunnel.
Says Peter Rabbit himself.
I'm predicting 4 hours for this episode. I don't know. We'll see.
And the rabbit hole is long,
It is.
and I could just see I'm late for a very important date.
Just don't chase those sashes.
Every frame of this you could talk
It's
about.
golden.
You
Yeah,
could
it's
talk about
golden.
everything in here.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
They
It's
just
beautiful.
they took all the safeties off. That parallel universe.
So
Everything.
All right, Admiral.
yeah,
Looks good in red. Let's jump in.
yeah, we're diving in. We're going in. Set phases for rabbit hole. We're going in. So, Act 1, Scene 1, episode opens up. Kirk, Uhura, Scotty, and McCoy are down on the planet that we find out is the Hulkan planet. Not sure if we ever actually hear the name of the planet. Talking to a bunch of extras from Shakespeare.
I think the lead Hulkin guy, he's done a lot. He did a lot of voice, and he was in a couple of episodes, I think. So.
I believe so. I didn't look up who he was, but I recognize him. My first thought was it just took me back to some of the other episodes where you had Who Mourns for Adonis, and you kind of have this they're on this platform and the Shakespearean type or medieval garb. It almost are they talking to another bunch of Organians or
it's
something?
a sacred place that they're meeting.
Yeah.
Well, it is the Hulkan Council.
Yes.
So they are speaking for the planet. So I would think the planet would be named Hulkan.
Possible.
Could be.
Possible.
Could be.
Or Holka.
But it is you do get that feel that these are potentially higher level life forms at the start.
Yeah. You think maybe if things hadn't gone sideways, Kirk might have had another superior being intervention?
It almost seems from an evolutionary standpoint of civilizations in Roddenberry's universe that maybe the Hulkans had an extraordinarily aggressive past.
Right.
And they kind of cleared out everything around them, and then they chose peace because I don't think you could be as passive as they appear to be and survive. I mean, if the Klingons came by, they would just take the dilithium crystals.
That's the fallacy of being
pacifism,
pacifist, peacenik. You get to the point where you can be overcome by anybody because
you beat
you
your
no
swords
longer
into plowshares.
Yes, you no longer study war. War is an avenue wherein you preserve your culture from outside forces.
I think they talk about, I remember something from history, there were these tantric colonies in India that had become so loving and peaceful they forgot all about war, and the Huns just came down ate them up like chocolate-covered cherries.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
The peaceniks will be overran by those who are not.
Those who've kept their swords.
Those who have kept their swords. Let's just dive into it. There's so much here.
Yeah. Well, and we're just pit stopping on the Hulkins. They're not even really what this is about.
Well, they're not per se, but they're the catalyst for it, because as the story plays out, there's a decision that has to be made whether to preserve them or not to preserve them, and that's the backdrop of the story.
Yeah.
Because in reality, and I mentioned this before, you can just beam down and take what you want, and they can't stop you.
Well, he even says that to the Hulkins say to Kirk. They say, you have the power to take these from us, and he goes, and we're not. So consider that.
There's a good moment in this opening scene where Kirk's giving you a really good, a brief glimpse of what the Federation and Starfleet is really about.
Do you think that is a movable feast in their sort of the way that they look at things? In other words, if the Borg were attacking and they needed that dilithium for defense, would they take it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Situations would move the needle on the morality.
Because right now they don't seem like it doesn't really matter to them. They're trying to figure it out and get it set up, but they're not desperate for it.
Even in Vulcan culture, and this is according to Star Trek's the movies.
Yes.
The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one.
Or the few.
So if we can preserve life by taking your dilithiums, if that's more advantageous to beat the Borg, guess what? We're taking your dilithiums. Now, we might not come down and phaser the entire planet and kill you all. We'll just land a party and nothing you can do about it.
Well, it sounds like as you were taking the dilithium crystals, the Hulkins would be doing mass suicides.
Well, that's on them.
Probably.
That's their choices. Look.
Well, they're not going to fight you for it.
Probably standing in front of the mine, waving signs and
and
not throwing Molotov cocktails.
Yeah, true protest.
Cans of soup.
True protesting.
True protest.
Let's
peaceful protest.
Peaceful protest. But
Audio Arthur didn't miss that.
Alert. Arthur's making the call.
Admiral, you want to let our new listeners know what that sound means?
That red alert sound is when someone says something that could be construed as controversial or in some circles what they say is triggering.
But we're doing it in fun, so we really don't care how you feel about it.
See, like that. If you're feeling a little blue right now because Captain Daystrum is unconcerned about your feelings, you've been triggered.
Captain Palpatine cares about your feelings.
But we do have a place for you with a puppy that you can rub on to calm your nerves.
Did we go into therapy dog business and no one told the Admiral?
Well, if they can make their way here to the studios, there's a couple of dogs outside that they can pat on.
I don't think anybody wants to part with those puppies. But I digress. Hopefully you're not feeling blue and you're still with us.
But the Hulk can say that Captain Kirk makes mention that we've given you backlogs of our history
to show that we are peaceful.
And the Hulk can say,
yes,
you're peaceful now.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean it'll stay that way. And that's true.
Well, if he truly gave them the history, we're just recently peaceful in the Federation.
I don't think he's talking about Earth history. I think he's talking about Federation history.
Yeah.
Federation history.
Okay. That's good.
Because if we looked at Earth history, the Hulk is going, no way we're giving you atomic bombs, buddy.
To Captain Palpatine's point, though, Federation history is what, at that point, 60 years at the most?
That's right. Yeah.
It's not a long time.
No.
I'm giving you 60 years of us doing right. Now, if we look into Earth or even ancient Vulcan history,
that's barbaric.
Yeah.
Now, extrapolating from other Star Trek episodes, though, there are many episodes where they're on the hunt for dilithium, and the main driver behind it is that they are in competition with the Klingons, and both sides are trying to secure resources for whatever might come up.
The inevitable.
Let me say this: the spice must flow.
The spice must flow.
The dilithium must flow.
The dilithium must flow.
Yeah.
And it's not just one planet that you get it from. Whatever planet you find, you must conquer. You got to have dilithiums, man.
Not conquer. You negotiate a trade agreement.
Well, if that don't work, you conquer 'em.
Take it.
Some trade agreements have phasers and some don't.
Do you think
Aggressive trading.
Aggressive negotiation.
Do you think Roddenberry was using dilithium as an analogy for oil or nuclear power? Or
I
something?
think so.
Yeah.
You could definitely draw that comparison. It's what drives the ships and oil drives the world. I don't know if he was deliberately trying to make that statement, but it's a definite parallel.
I think it's a parallel that has to come about because no matter what form you use for energy, that becomes the driving force of any society.
That's the limiting resource.
Right. So back in the 1700s, oil? Well oil?
1800s?
Yeah,
Late 1800s?
Late 1800s.
Yeah, I think.
Well oil. Then when we start digging up oil out of the ground, that was the motivator for society.
Well, actually, to take that one step further, they had to make decisions, my understanding, and I'm sure people will comment on this in the comment section, and like and subscribe,
and share.
that there was a decision made in early 1900s industrial engineering to pick a substance in which they would use that as like the universal base to begin manufacturing as many things as possible. So in other words, hydrocarbons. So one of the main things you get from oil is plastic. And that was planned. Like it wasn't just they said, okay, here's hydrocarbons, here's oil, Dow Chemical. What can you make out of it? We can make nylon, we can make plastic, we can make all the rest of this stuff.
That's true. So many people don't understand all the things that are made from oil. And if we move
Absolutely.
from oil, if you stop using oil, you no longer have the plastic sheets that cover your beef and all the stuff that's used to preserve.
Right.
You lose a lot. And most people don't understand that. But before that, we were using steam. You can go to Henry Ford Village and look at all the tractors that were ran off of steam.
Right.
You threw
The giant steam
You threw your
combustion
log
engines.
in or your chunk of coal, and you heated up steam and the steam engine.
Yes.
Right.
We went to an oil-based system, and the society as a whole has progressed in that. Now, in Roddenberry's time, they're not talking about oil. They need what?
Dilithium.
Dilithium crystals
crystals.
for the use of
Warp drives.
for atomic matter.
Antimatter fusion.
Antimatter fusion. Thank you.
Antimatter.
And without the dilithiums, it's not possible. And they don't really get into how. It's fantasy, but this is
Oh, trust me. Somebody in the comments knows exactly how. Somebody knows.
Does Impulse run off of dilithium too?
No, you get the impression Impulse is an independent system.
Yeah. And I think Impulse came
But
first, right?
Yes, and it
Yeah.
runs on fuel or batteries,
But you
depending
can
on which
you
version.
get close to the speed of light, I think. But you can't actually warp with Impulse.
Yeah, max impulse is almost the
just
speed
nigh
of
the
light.
speed
We're
of
gonna
light.
get beat up bad on this, aren't we?
No.
You think we're close?
We
Our
are
disclaimers are not experts.
we are close. I'm enough of a tech guy to know we're close, and
That's
but
why
our-
you're the admiral.
yeah, that's why I'm the admiral. But we also say that that is not the purpose of Men on Trek. We're not trying to be technically excellent. We're not trying to be exactly correct. We're just talking about these fantastic episodes and what we love about them.
Stories, the character, the writing. What's
Yes.
good about them?
Absolutely.
So in the opening up, you have James T, and he is informing the Halkins that we have the ability to take them, but we won't think on that point in our request for them.
Think it over.
That's like me coming to you and go, give me $50. And you go, no, I'm not giving you $50. And I say, I got the ability to take it, but think on that, I won't. So I would like the $50. He's not doing it as a threat. He's making it known that they're not that person.
He's trying to show the dichotomy that they could force them, but it's not their
But I don't
way.
know if you were intending this, but what I got from what you just said was there may still be there's a little bit of a threat in here because he's not going away and saying, we understand. Like, you're not going to give it to us. He's like, I'm going to give you time to think about it.
Well, that gets into what I was alluding to based on other episodes. In the episodes dealing with dilithium, the Federation and the Klingons are in this mad race to secure this resource. And in almost every instance, and they would probably have gotten to this here had they not deviated, Kirk's always trying to get there first and secure the agreement before the Klingons hit town.
Right.
So I think the underlying urgency is that they want to secure this dilithium crystal resource on this planet, and they know that it's only a matter of time before the competition shows up. And drawing the difference between how they approach it versus how the Klingons will approach it when they appear.
So if there wasn't this accident that was going to come up, do you think Kirk just basically would have called down and said, have you guys considered your position? Is it changed? They say no, and then they just leave?
Yes.
Okay.
They would have had to.
I think they would leave, also letting them know that
others are interested.
there's another empire out here. And when they come, you guys are going to just die.
Well,
because the Klingons are not going to walk away.
Well, Kirk could have took a pay me now, pay me later approach at that point. He could have said, hey, you can do a deal with us now, and we can protect you, or we can come back later and rescue you. Maybe.
I think the Hulkans wouldn't want to be rescued.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think they would either, but that's their approach.
I think they say their world, the universe has changed so much, and it's time for us to go.
Oh, that's stupid.
Wow.
But okay.
I know.
Well,
but
there's a parallel to that in another universe.
There is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is.
And that makes a lot of sense,
Right.
right?
Yep.
So,
We've outlived our usefulness in this universe.
yeah.
Or the universe has changed so much, we might as well just go the way of the dodo
No, view it more as you're going to stand on your principles.
and be dead.
Standing on your principles.
I'd rather. There's a line out of Shakespeare I love so much is actually Macbeth. There are bodies that bear hack better than my own. I'm not going out like that.
Yes, Captain, we know. You're not a Hulkin.
I'm not a pacifist.
Not ever. But
Yeah.
but
I'm defending my land and my property.
of course.
We would have made an admirable Klingon.
Thank you.
Yeah. He's got some Klingonish tendency.
And I
Or do you think Captain
Daystrum?
Daystrom there is more Romulan than Klingon?
No.
Romulans are.
No. He's a get his hands dirty kind of fella. He's Klingon.
I don't know. We'll talk more about it as in a future episode. He seems more Romulan in his ability to.
It's not that. I love Trek, but the Halkins upset me. They honestly do, because you're going to stand on your principle and be dead. You don't even have the forethought or the wherewithal,
The fortitude.
to defend your principle. You're going to let somebody come in and just wipe you out.
Right.
What good are your principles?
Well, if that's true, if you're a true pacifist and not just not just talking about it, that is the principle.
And that's why pacifism is stupidity.
It's a choice.
I mean, when someone comes in and just takes over.
But you can still be peaceful and pacifistic no matter who's ruling you, if that's your principle. I know it hurts.
Yeah, I would say that I don't disagree with how challenging their position appears, because from an evolutionary standpoint, to the captain's comments, this leads to extinction. So you can't teach, and no one else can learn your ethics because you're not there. But I think what they're counting on, if it gives them any kind of solace and restfulness, is that by their example, maybe they inspire other cultures to do the same thing.
History is written by the victor. There won't be no example of them. They'll totally wipe them out. Well, look at Darwinism. Survival of what?
The fittest.
The fittest. If you're not willing to fight for what you believe in, you're wiped out. And the culture that wipes you out can wipe out all your civilization, all the writings thereof, and nobody will know about you. And what did you earn? What did you gain?
And if you're listening to us from a commune, you've just heard the opposing point of view to your lifestyle. But we love you nonetheless.
We're talking about Trek.
It's It is
It's
challenging.
challenging.
The
It is
Hulkins
challenging.
position is challenging, but
It's a It's-
I accept it.
it's a
I'm
rare.
fine with it.
I'm with you. I accept their decision. It would not be my decision.
Right.
Oh, that's so political.
Admiral,
How many hoops are you going to jump through?
Admiral, Admiral K in 2024.
It's so funny that this is a fictitious story.
Riding the fence for you and me.
But we're talking about the theoretical.
Well, this is what Trek does. This is the good
Yeah.
writing. Because what are we talking? We're peeling away this onion, and we're getting down to these fundamental ideas of like, what are you willing to do to stand up to your values? Are you willing to die for them?
And
there are people who are.
And we're
haven't
feeding
even-
the onion to Admiral Redshirt.
No, don't feed the No. There's no onions at the Admiral's table.
All right.
But we haven't even energized yet.
Yeah, we can jump into the
So-
second minute. Of this
Yeah, the first 60
I told
seconds.
you guys.
30 minutes down.
I-
30 minutes per minute. That's 1,500 minutes. That's
Okay, so Mirror Mirror will be completed next year.
Well, this is why, and we've had these discussions, I think, briefly about what is going to be special about Mirror Mirror is that there is so much depth to each one of these scenes. You could spend a long time, and we probably will, talking about, because the questions that come up and the comparisons, because that's what we do, right? We look at things and we talk about comparisons and how one thing looks compared to the other, whatever. This episode literally lays it out. You get to see, mirrored characters, but they're not just. It's not just a black and white drawing. There's still colors to it. They're not 100% empirically the opposite. There are still traits that they have, and that was done on purpose. Spock is still logical in both universes, but the way that he uses that logic is what makes the episode so interesting.
Let's roll on through, because you just threw a hint out there for those who have not actually seen Mirror Mirror. And I can't believe there's too many
There's
people
somebody that
on
hasn't
the
seen
planet
Mirror
that has
Mirror.
not seen Mirror Mirror, but I believe there is somebody.
Hold on, Captain. You raise a good point. Public service announcement. If you have not seen Mirror Mirror somehow, could be a product of your birth. You might be young. Check it out. Catch the remastered episodes. It's fantastic. It's time for you to be introduced to classic Star Trek. Proceed, sir. So,
Ion Storm,
Ion Storm.
rough ride if we stay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ion storms are not unusual, although, based on other Star Trek episodes, they are very dangerous.
We know that from Ben Finney.
Yes, we do. Reject the pod. Ion storm.
Court Martial, episode 6
6.
of Men on Track.
See, I thought there was
Yes.
one.
No, episode 5.
Episode 5.
Episode 5, Men on
Episode
Track.
5.
Okay.
You can fact check us on that if you've listened to all the episodes. Put it in the comments. But so yes, it's time for them to beam up, and there's an ion storm above the planet, and they receive a warning that it is a rough one.
Before we jump there, I never noticed that the Hulkin commander or council has a scepter.
And it looks very much like the scepter that the guy had in Cat's Paw.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like the magic
He has a
scepter.
little scepter. Looks like he's about to brain Kirk with
He
it.
could turn Kirk into a cat.
No, he's a pacifist. He wouldn't do that.
Yeah. They're getting ready to beam up. And the last parting comments between the council and Kirk is, well, you have the ability to take him from us. And Kirk says, yeah, we do, but
We won't.
consider that we won't. So
That's
then-
that's progress.
then they energize. And something happens.
More proof that you are aware when being transported.
Well, now we have to talk about something later on. Are you aware of the Tantalus field when it grabs you?
The guy's got
That
to
seemed almost insteast.
Well,
No,
let's
no,
hold on to
don't-
that
don't-
one.
Oh, all right.
I disagree with you. I
That-
think
that-
it hurts.
That's for
You'd make it hurt,
hold
wouldn't
on,
you?
hold on,
They'd be
hold
like,
on.
"This is totally painless," and you're like, "Can you add a little pain?"
let's delay that.
Yeah,
Let's
hold
delay.
on.
But we're looking at the formation of an Einstein-Rosen bridge
Is that what
because
that is? Yeah.
they are being transferred through dimension, into a parallel
dimension.
universe.
Yeah.
At the same spot, at the same moment.
Yeah. What are the odds?
And then the transporter, the effect in the one universe more golden, and then when they transport and there's an overlay, it's kind of more colorful. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Visual way of giving you a signal. So
A subtle improvement from the remaster.
Now, one thing I thought that was strange is why did their uniforms change? And I don't think you can explain that technologically. I think that was done for writing's sake.
So
So
had
they
to
have
draw
them
that
transfer
dichotomy.
over to
Probably
if
hard to
they
write
would have
your way out of
instantly
that.
been
They
recognized.
would've
Instantly
it
been
would, and you would have to
recognized, and the story
convince everybody
becomes a
very
lot more
quickly
complicated.
that Kirk
Right.
was not your
have to
captain,
totally
and then you
rework
could
the
move
story.
against
becomes a
him.
lot shorter.
But some people
well,
might think that it would be some
It'd be
sort of
interesting
ploy.
how it plays out.
So in other
He's-
words,
he's
it's
still
like
Kirk. He's a Kirk
because the
from
crew
another
doesn't.
universe.
The rest of the there's only
Do they
there's only
fall in
what
line?
there's
Do-
4
don't they
people
fall
in
in?
that
So it becomes a
transporter.
lot
There's
more
Spock,
complicated.
There's
Mr. Kyle.
Mr. Kyle, and then
And the
there's
two strong arms.
Two
Right.
security guys.
So if you
Two
were
of
able,
my guys.
yeah, if you were able to do something in that situation and you exited, I know the uniforms would be strange, but I think you just might be thinking, well, they're
All-
kind of out of uniform.
All 4 of them beamed down and had to change the
No,
uniform
the
down.
uni-
It
The
becomes
uniforms
too
are
hard to
too
write.
foreign.
Yeah, it becomes too
You
hard
wouldn't
to
get
write.
away with it.
Right.
You think they walk out of there and people start jumping on them right away?
No, I don't think
Question
Spock.
it.
I don't think that Spock would let them get out of there
No.
without starting to question them then and there.
Yeah, I think
So the writers had to give them the change of uniform so that the story they were writing
Do we
would
mention?
go forward.
Do we mention now that everyone has an agonizer and everyone has a phaser on their
Yes.
belt?
it's a rough world.
It is a rough world.
It's a direct opposite of the Hulkins.
Yeah,
You went from
Pacifism.
total pacifism,
the total war.
the original Star Trek universe, which they weren't pacifists, but they weren't warmongers, and the alternate reality,
The mirror universe.
the mirror universe, with these guys.
Are ruthless.
They're
And a
ruthless.
blade. I forgot too. A blade. Everybody. I think.
Everybody's got a knife.
Or just
Yeah.
just the officers that have knives.
You see every officer for sure has a knife.
Right.
Not all the crewmen have knives.
Yeah.
So
See, it seems the knife and the gold sash seems to be a signifier of rank.
well, as we go through, they transport up, and during the midst of the transportation, the transporter, they get mixed up and they end up on the alternate
ISS
reality,
Enterprise.
ISS Enterprise, the Enterprise
The
of
mirror,
the Empire,
The mirror universe.
the mirror. So they come out of the transporter, and the first thing you see is Kirk's face and Spock's face. I think it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's-
And the difference in how they look. And I like the way Spock looks. I honestly like the uniforms
You
of
like-
the alternate reality.
You like them?
His
like that.
uniform isn't like anyone else. It's almost like that's a Vulcan uniform to a certain degree.
He has. There are points on his uniform that no one else has.
He has almost like an ascot,
Yeah.
around his neck. But more importantly, he has a beard.
Yes.
Yes, and a goatee.
But
Got the rocking that goatee.
once again, the writers want to set it apart so that the watchers can automatically receive. See, there's no information dump.
Right.
You're picking it up as it is, and you see Spock, and Spock's got on a different uniform, and he's got a beard.
Everybody does, and just a handful of things they do. Everybody's got a different uniform. The symbol on the wall, Spock's mustache and goatee. You immediately are like, "Whoa,
And
what has happened here?"
and everyone is actively saluting.
Yes,
And there's bully boys everywhere.
Bully boys
security guard.
everywhere. And there's private security
You
forces.
can't trip without a bully boy finding you.
No,
I mean,
yes,
they're
yes.
everywhere.
That's a red shirt captain.
Man,
It's my kind of
think
shit.
about how many people they lose in regular Star Trek episodes. In the mirror universe, they got to have a plethora.
It's probably twice as many crew
They
members.
got to have a plethora of bully boys.
But then we see those personal guards. They're in like those blue jumpsuits.
Well, everybody seems to have a
Personal guard.
cadre of personal loyalists among the crew.
Let's
But we're not there yet.
Yeah, let's
We're
get
not
there.
there yet.
So Kirk and Spock appear, and Uhura runs over to Scotty. looking at how she dressed, and Spock.
And Uhura in particular, when we rewatch this, I'm just thinking like how dangerous what she's doing. She's reacting. She's like, "Whoa, what's happening here?" And this is not the time to be displaying that you don't know what's going on. You know.
We not gonna say nothing else about Uhura.
What would you like to say?
For those of you in this generation, keep your finger away from there, Arthur. This is where midriff shirts come from.
Yeah.
Uhura's abs are smoking.
Oh.
She is a beautiful woman.
Definitely,
Very beautiful.
Definitely the power.
Still is.
Definitely her power and independence are on display.
Yeah.
So if you like Uhura, vote for her. Call in.
Call where?
Oh yeah, that's a teaser for what's coming up, folks, because there are two
debate.
There are two camps here about some of the young ladies in this episode. And I think I have a resolution, but I'm gonna wait. But
and not to be biased, we can have some voting on the other side about how people feel about Mirror Spock versus regular Spock, perhaps.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's hand down Mirror. Who's gonna? I mean, if you got Mirror Spock there, and you got, I don't know.
Well, we got to see how it shakes out. I mean, sure.
The episode is striking in appearance.
Striking, yes.
When you go to the ISS Enterprise, the Mirror Enterprise, part of the Empire.
Well, that's what's so effective about it. They make a few minor changes, and you immediately know you're in a different place.
So Kirk comes down, and Spock asks him, "How did the conference go? And will the Hulkins give us what we want?" Okay. And Kirk goes, "No." And Spock asks, "Standard procedure."
Well, he asked him military capabilities, and he goes, "None."
Well,
that's where they finish up. He says standard
procedure.
Yeah.
And Kirk, not knowing what standard procedure is, thinking his standard procedure, he goes, "Of course, yeah."
Well, Kirk, I took something different from that. Kirk knows Kirk's playing it off. He's feeling his way.
Right. So he's not going to say no.
He doesn't know what standard procedure is, but he's got to roll with it.
That's what I said.
That's how he finds out what standard procedure is, by saying yes. If he says no, he doesn't find out.
Right. So, and Spock orders the bombardment,
the systematic destruction
of the Hulk cities. And then Spock asks him, what are their armaments?
What is their military capability?
Military capabilities. And the answer comes back, none. And then they're all caught off guard until Kyle breaks up the tension because he made a mistake.
Yeah, Spock focuses on Mr. Kyle's substandard transporter operation.
And then we have the...
He says something about mishandling the equipment will not be tolerated. Like he says something.
Then he asks for something that every boss would love to have. To ask for your employee's personal agonizer.
The terrible part about this is I always thought you're carrying your own switch. It's like you're a kid and you're walking around carrying the belt, waiting for something to happen.
It's probably genetically programmed for the individual.
I doubt it's that complicated.
No, I think so.
I think any agonizer would do.
No, I think at this technological level, it's Admiral Red Shirts.
No.
Admiral Red Shirts won't work on me.
That defeats the purpose. I want to be able to hurt anybody with any agonizer I can get my hands on.
That's why they're supposed to carry. I bet you it's a huge fine if you're not caught with your...
Oh, you get to go to the ag booth.
So for those of you who have not seen the episode,
ahead.
Each individual is carrying his own personal punishment device. And Spock calls for Mr. Kyle's because of mishandling the equipment. And this gets the writers put this in so you can see the brutality of the mirror universe.
I like your idea about that, though, Mark, because I think it is attuned to you specifically. Otherwise, everybody, like Spock would have used, and I don't think Spock has one.
He's not carrying one, or you don't see it.
Yeah, but you could just take your agonizer and use it on anyone. I think it is attuned to... Your agonizer works on you.
Right.
That's it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I was just thinking you'd want something more open-ended so that you could hurt anybody you happen to want to hurt at the moment.
No,
that's called a phaser and a knife.
I think it's under the control of the Empire that you can't use your agonizer on someone else. You have to use their agonizer on them. Because then any instant can run up and the captain
Right.
he doesn't like,
Right.
tap him in the back and agonize him,
Right.
then
Right.
pistol him.
Yep. I think it's attuned
Maybe.
to you. But the other thing is that at a certain point, it looks like you are promoted beyond agonizer.
Wow.
Yeah, flag officers are not carrying them.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Uhura has one. I don't think
No, none of
Got
the.
it.
If you're
Yeah.
wearing a gold sash, you don't have.
you don't
one.
have an agonizer. So that you swap the gold sash for an agonizer.
Yeah, but the problem is you have the Empire that's waiting for you to make a mistake, and the guy under you gets an order to wipe you out.
That's okay.
That's true,
That's what
yeah.
phasers are for.
That's why you have Marlena with the Tantalus field.
We haven't gotten there yet.
Sorry.
So,
We're not in the captain's quarters yet.
so Spock goes after Mr. Kyle, asks for his agonizer, and Kyle's pleading with him. No, Mr. Spock. No, Mr. Spock.
I'm sorry.
And then Spock, without emotion, says, "Please give me your agonizer." and,
As he approaches him with menace.
and a red shirt grabs Kyle by the neck,
And
holds him in place, and Kyle takes. Spock doesn't take.
the red shirt hands him
the,
Kyle's
red shirt,
agonizer.
the red shirt answer to him.
Hands his Kyle.
Hands Spock the agonizer, and he proceeds to agonize Kyle. Now, the red shirt lets go of Kyle. I don't know if it'll transfer.
Now, here, this is what I'm going to tell you. Here's what I'm going to tell you. I would have put Kyle in the ag booth. You know why? Because number one, he didn't give me his agonizer when I asked him to. And number two, the act of him handing it to you, that's part of the submission. And he
Yes.
didn't do that. A red shirt had to take it off his belt. So I would have, as soon as Kyle got up, I would have said, take him to the ag booth. Enough of this rigmarole.
So you're
Shenanigans. That's what
So Captain Palpatine is not having any transporter malfunctions on his ship. Absolutely
you
not.
better not. I can see the people in the mirror universe saying, "Man, there's an ion storm. I don't want to be at my post right
Well,
now because something could go wrong and I'll get blamed for
Yeah, it goes.
But then again, if I'm not at my post when that
It-
storm's going,
it
I'm
didn't-
going to get blamed for it.
It demonstrates the cruelty of the universe because there's an ion storm going on and they know transporters don't act quite right in a ion storm.
Spock just drops it. Did you see that? Spock
Just drops-
looks away. He just looks away and he just drops the agonizer on the floor.
Let's stay on Admiral Redshirt's thought.
Yeah.
Well,
Stop watching the
He
TV.
he just looks away and just drops and walks away.
After Spock gets done agonizing, he doesn't care, so he just drops
just
Kyle's
drops-
agonizer,
well,
and Kyle's got to pick it up.
Kyle's got to pick it up after he
Put it back
recovers.
on his belt. But go ahead, Admiral Redshirt. Go with your thought.
It shows you the cruelty of the universe because in a scenario like this, an error or something not being completely perfect is absolutely not only understandable, but to be expected. You're trying to beam somebody up in the middle of a severe ion storm. And Mr. Spock goes, "Kyle, you didn't do that right." And Mr. Kyle's like, "I did the best I could." And Spock's like, "That's not good enough.
Yeah. Pain or pleasure.
Hand
It's
it
your
up.
reward. And
Hand
it's
it
like,
up. Give me that switch."
Yeah.
And I always think about how the Klingon ship would run. How much different a Klingon ship would be in the original universe to the Mirror universe. Would they be as brutal?
Well, in the Mirror universe, the Klingons are probably
Well,
nice guys.
I'm not talking about in the Mirror universe. I'm talking about Klingons in the original universe. Do they run their ships similar?
In other episodes,
Oh.
they give you the impression, yes, they kind of do.
Well, it wasn't in Search for Spock. They accidentally, the one weapons guy, the Klingon guy, he was targeting the engine and he blew the whole thing
Blew
up.
up the Grissom and he
Christopher
killed
Lloyd.
him for it.
Yeah, Christopher Lloyd was like, what are you doing? And then he just kind of
Yeah, he
And-
phasered
phasered
him.
him.
And the agonizers do exist in the regular universe.
There was a great line in that I think it was the Search for Spock movie with Christopher Lloyd. He shoots the weapons guy and disintegrates him, and his first officer calls his name, and he swings around with his phaser in
It's
his
a
hand.
disruptor.
And he says, "Say the wrong thing."
Say the wrong thing, guy.
Say the wrong thing. Like just.
But yes, a Klingon is seen using an agonizer on Chekhov in another episode, so
Yeah.
they do exist in the regular universe.
Wow.
The Federation just doesn't use
So
them.
in the Mirror universe, we're getting a peek into the Klingon Empire.
The vents on
To-
the warp pods
To some degree. Yeah.
All right, so let's move on with the story. Spock's dropping up
drops
the agonizer, and he turns back to Kirk, and then Kyle kicks in that there was a fluctuation.
And the look of horror on Uhura's face.
Yeah, the thing is that the McCoy is kind of the most in control of the four. Kirk is having to interact, but for the other three that are just sort of standing there, he's the most poker faced of them.
Scotty and Uhura kind of got their mouths hanging open, like, "Whoa, what's happening here?"
So after Spock gives orders to the party that comes back to go back to their duties, Kyle recognizes from the controls of the transporter that there was a power fluctuation. And then Spock immediately turns back on him, coming full bore. And Kyle's like, no, I didn't do anything wrong.
Because of your error? Is that why this happened?
Yeah.
He goes, no, before,
Mr.
Spock, before.
I didn't do anything wrong. And then Spock turns to Kirk and say,
"Are you all right?
Are you guys, how do you feel? Are you all right?" And Kirk picks up the cue. This is an opportunity for us to get the H out of here. So he says, yeah, we do feel funny. I do feel funny. McCoy, let's go. Take us and let's
Take us in sick bay and check us out.
and examine us. And that gives our intrepid heroes on ISS Enterprise an opportunity to come together and powwow about what the heck is going on and how the heck do they get out of this.
But Nimoy plays this so well.
Oh, yeah,
you look at him and just a subtle change in his expression, and he's you can just read into it. He's saying something isn't right here. Something is not right.
Yeah, he's already suspicious.
Yep.
So as they're going to sick bay, they're met by red shirts at every corner.
Oh yeah, there's guards.
There
There's
are
guards
bully
everywhere.
boys everywhere.
Guards everywhere.
And they've got their phasers on that cross draw.
Yeah,
It's on the
that
opposite
right
hip.
hand. That right hand cross. Draw.
Yeah, because your agonizer is what you're drawing most, right? Your primary utility belt item is the agonizer on the
I
right.
hate to say, yeah, you're right, but
Yeah.
I guess you're right. Now, standard, even standard guys
Everybody.
in jumpsuits got phasers.
Yeah,
Yep.
regular crewman.
Look at the neck on that dude. Holy cow!
Well, everybody on the ship in this episode is
Who's
pretty.
his
Is pretty
muscle?
It's pretty buffed.
Oh
Yeah,
man!
these guys are juiced up on steroids. ISS Enterprise, when we beam people down, we're not beaming down little thin guys. We're beaming down the
Bro.
bully boys from Iowa.
The bros are on sustenance, man. Yeah, absolutely. So then they head towards they go to medical bay, and McCoy points out
that
you
his alternate number is a slob.
right. But there's an acid stain on the lab table from a year ago. So he's like,
Right.
this is our Enterprise, but yet it's not.
It's not.
Yeah.
That's actually Kirk's line. Kirk makes that leap, not thinking that we've been captured by some alien and they twisted our minds and we're seeing something or something was set up, that something actually happened. As I said earlier, that Einstein-Rosen bridge. When you're looking at the Star Trek transporter, breaking somebody down to the molecular level and then reconstituting them, you're looking at a fantastic event. And they're saying with the ion storm and the parallel universe, breaking them down and bringing them up, they actually transport into another universe.
Well, what I like about it is that they draw the conclusion based on the evidence in front of them, but it gets into the intelligence of the characters and that they have knowledge of these theories in physics and quantum physics, and that they're open to that they know the technology they use at least has the possibility that these things can occur. They can pretty quickly ascertain what may have happened and entertain the theory.
Well, that would be logical because
Right.
the warp nacelles themselves
Take
are
them out
warping
of
space.
Space-time, yes.
It's bending space. So the theory behind warp capabilities
Right.
leads you to the formation or the altering of the substance of space.
Yes.
But that's what's great about the way that they wrote these, because you're into season 2 already, and you've already accepted warp and alternate dimensions and everything. So, to me, I don't have any problem that this happened. Like
No.
I'm 100% certain that in this universe with those factors that in the variables in that equation, that this could happen, and that you could do it over again. You could artificially create it, but the environmental circumstances would have to be the same, and you may not always be able to control those.
Right.
Like the density, the local density.
Right. Of the borders between universes.
Right.
So as we go on, Kirk is he's hypothesizing what happened based on the information they have.
And they talk about a surge in power, and that they remember being sort of materializing in their own enterprise, and then something happened, and then all of a sudden they materialized in the ISS Enterprise.
And they were aware of the brief moment they appeared on the regular Enterprise before they disappeared again.
That's what he just said.
Right.
Which lends to the theory of you do feel
it.
Things in the
You know it.
I don't know
transport.
if I like that.
Well, there's two episodes where we've seen proof of
Well,
it.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know there is. Scotty says it, and then it's being said here.
Energize Captain Daystrum, Arthur. Let him feel the tingle.
See, I told you, Audio Arthur is my son. He doesn't listen to you.
And then all of a sudden,
Mutiny,
Kirk kind of puts it together.
Mutiny.
Puts it together. He goes, "We're in a parallel universe. Parallel."
And Ahura goes through and she's ticking off the numbers in her head that somebody's in my bedroom. And it ain't me.
Or that they're on their ship, and what havoc could they be wreaking?
Yeah. It's one of those moments where they're letting you know what they think is happening, and you're only as far as they are.
Right.
Right.
You don't have any fore information. You're
Nope.
finding out as they find out. And as Kirk goes to the computer to start to work through this problem, McCoy, who is the moralist, jumps right to, what about the Halkins? Look, man, I'm not thinking about the Halkins now. I'm thinking about me surviving. You're worrying about some cats in another universe, and if we get back to ours, it won't matter if they die in this universe. But that's just me.
But
Sorry.
I think that there was a conscious directorial choice in this, because Kirk says, what are they doing on our Enterprise? And I expected them to cut to the Enterprise and show it. Mm-hmm. They do that later in the episode, but the first time where he says that and he goes, what are they doing on our Enterprise? You expected them to cut to it. It's like, nope, they stayed there. You're not going to learn anything more than they're going to learn right now. You're going to have to figure it out along with them.
You're not getting any extra information.
And what's cool about that?
It's not a confirmation. Yeah.
What's cool about that is they give you some suspense in a place where you otherwise really wouldn't have any.
Right.
That you actually get to stew a little while and wonder if like something bad's happening back home, so to speak.
And that's the beauty of the writing once more, as Jim said, that you don't get to see what's going on. That would give the audience a bump or a leg up on what the
crew has.
The POV characters, the point of view characters have. You don't get any more information than they have. You have to sit and wonder what's going on the original Enterprise.
Right.
And then two things happen to keep you there, because the writers could easily lose you at that point, because you'd be thinking, what is happening there? But like you said, there's two things that happen. Number one is McCoy steps in and says, what about the Halkins? And then the other thing is Uhura is basically told to go to the bridge and figure out what they're supposed to be doing through communications. And she starts to basically say to the captain, I'm scared. Yeah.
I can be agged at any time.
Yeah. And he's like, Uhura, you're the only one that can do it. So all of a sudden, what they do is they take this, they introduce this curiosity to, I want to see what's going on there. And then there's this redirect, and the redirect is to the moral and ethical situation with the Halkins, and then it's made personal with Uhura. Yes. And then you very quickly forget that you wanted to see what was going on the other Enterprise.
Because now you're concerned about Uhura, if nothing else.
Yeah.
And she's concerned about herself.
Right.
And no one's concerned about the Halkins.
Well, McCoy is.
McCoy is.
And then too, Mark, the Hulkin dilemma, the way you logic through it is accurate, But the Hulken dilemma, it sets the stage to show you the dichotomy between our Kirk and the mirror Kirk.
Of course it is, but it's not logical. But nonetheless, Kirk gives Uhura the order to go to the bridge. And the bridge of the Enterprise, the ISS Enterprise, is different from the bridge of the original Enterprise. And the bully boys are everywhere.
Well, there's usually there's a lot of times there's 2 security guys on
Generally
the bridge.
only when they're called for.
I don't think there are.
Generally only when they're called for.
It depends on the episode.
They're
When
not. They don't
generally-
have phasers unless they're told to come.
Generally only when they're called for.
Yeah.
There's
No,
not
when-
guys standing around the bridge like
when
that.
they go to red alert, they're there.
Yeah, maybe red alert, but this
They
is
go-
not red alert. This
This
is
is
every
all
day.
the time, right?
This is every day.
Yeah.
Anytime the captain says, "Get this guy out of here," 2 bully boys come down and yank you,
Yeah.
yank you
Now-
to the ag booth.
My favorite thing about the bridge is when you see Mr. Sulu, and they really emphasize there's some different things going on here when you see Sulu and he's wearing a red shirt, which just warms my heart, and when Uhura walks on the bridge, all eyes on her.
Well, Sulu is
Sulu's zoned.
lecherous.
Yeah,
He's zoned.
He's lecherous.
and evil captains get high back captain's chairs,
That's right. Commodore chairs.
Commodore chair,
That's right.
which is the last time
Well,
you saw
there
that chair.
doesn't seem to be a regulation against fraternizing with the opposite sex on.
Oh no, it's
on the
anything
IS.
it's anything goes in the Empire as long as you can pull it off and not get yourself killed.
Yeah, I don't think Sulu would do well in corporate America
Not today.
with his approach.
Not today.
Yeah. He actually walks over to her console, sits on it,
And
and he grabs her by the chin. He's like,
Yes.
"Still no interest in her?"
oh yeah, that's sexual harassment big time. But when the captain comes on the bridge, everything changes.
Do you see that scar on Sulu's face?
Yeah.
Man, that is stem to stern.
Yeah, somebody
Somebody
got a piece
opened
of
him
him.
up. Yeah.
And Uhura gives the proper response to his advances.
Is that a forehand or a backhand? She backhands him?
She forehands him and then is ready to follow through with a backhand.
Oh, does she? Yeah.
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 Yeah, she's Uhura's toughness is on display. She can handle a lecherous suit.
Yeah,
I like how he sticks his neck out after she kind of hits him.
He's waiting for the second shot, isn't he?
Well, he's like, "Come at me."
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, she just kind of pushes him away, and then she's loading up the backhand. But
Yeah,
she doesn't
yeah.
fire it. Doesn't get fired out.
Yeah. Because the captain comes on and Chekhov pops to his feet.
Yep.
Yeah, and it looks,
Everybody turns to give the high hit
and it
lift.
looks like downtown Berlin.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a beefy red jumper
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah.
Oh, and he's 275, 280.
I want these guys on my landing party.
They must have went to Venice Beach for casting and just got every bodybuilder. And,
So Kirk immediately goes to Uhura and gets the skinny or the update on what their orders are.
Right.
And Uhura tells him that the orders are, if the Hulkins do
Don't
not
play
submit,
ball.
you are to annihilate them.
Yes.
And this is how the Empire is going to deal with it. So it doesn't matter if the Hulkins, how they feel about their pacifists and their shiny ideals. In this Empire, you are done away with. They're not going to play your game. They could have simply beamed down and took the dilithium without killing them.
No, but that's
But
not the message they want to send.
The Empire is not going to allow that.
the Empire wants an excuse to kill them.
Yeah, you across the episode, reading between the lines, this is how the Empire handles everything. Any resistance is absolutely crushed.
Because any resistance means you're not willing to play ball. You're not willing to be part of the system.
Submission.
Well,
So if the Hulkins submitted, the Empire would leave them alone.
Sure.
But since you dare,
Well, I don't think they would leave them alone. I think each one would get their own personal agonizer.
well, yeah, they would become part of the Empire.
Right.
They would become part of the system, but you wouldn't be annihilated.
No, but any dissent is not tolerated. The Empire cannot appear to be weak. In any
Well,
way,
to the
in any
Hulkins,
way.
it's the same thing because you're going to annihilate their culture because you can't survive in the Empire in that pacifist state.
You're going to crush their ideals.
Yeah, they'd probably grab some Hulkins, put some phaser rifles in them, and take them to another planet and just sit there and laugh while they get shot up.
That is a possibility, but if you're dead, you have no chance of overcoming the situation.
Right.
True.
You have no chance of winning back victory
Right.
if you submit and you're dead.
Oh,
Right.
the one thing we forgot to talk about when they were all in the medical bay, they gave, Kirk had a plan, and one of that was to send Scotty to the phaser control circuits and short them out to buy time.
Yes.
And so Scotty takes off. That was before Hura left. And then her mission was to go and find out what was going on with communications and if there were any options. And then Scotty was supposed to go short out those phaser circuits.
But when Scotty gets where he's going, he finds out things are different on this Enterprise.
There's another system of control. Just because you're the chief engineer doesn't mean that you have direct access to everything when you want it.
Yeah,
Right.
what's implied here is certain sections of the ship can only be accessed by authorization from the captain or the head of security.
And the head of security is
Sulu.
Security Chief Sulu.
Yeah,
But see,
Security Chief.
the captain could have ordered Sulu to give.
Scotty,
He-
but he didn't know he needed to do
Yeah, but that would foil everything because then Scotty shows up and the phasers don't work. They'd figure it out.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. He wanted Scotty to slip down there and do some monkey wrenching.
Not thinking there'd be a giant red shirt standing behind the door.
Another bully boy waiting to bully.
And that guy's big. He's looking down on Mr. Scott.
So after Scott calls in and says the phasers are fine because I can't do nothing to them, we get back to the bridge and Spock, the bearded, goateed Spock,
The green-blooded devil.
comes upon. Man, he looks menacing.
He does.
I tell you what, that the uniform he has looks fantastic.
It does.
and as Jim brought up, it's the ascot or the thing around his neck that kind of sets it off and makes him different from everybody else.
I always think of Ming the Merciless.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, totally.
Yep.
And for those of you that don't know who Ming the Merciless is, he's a character from Flash Gordon,
Which is an
He's a-
ancient
ancient science
series.
fiction.
Almost 100 years ago now.
Yeah, the original. Yeah.
1930s.
Yeah.
But, I think it's subtle, but it's effective. And I'm making an assumption. I think that ISS Spock, his makeup is different. His eyes are darker. He's just, and the way that Nimoy plays him, he just plays him so dark. Like it's menacing, but it's not evil. If that makes any sense.
It's cold.
Yeah, it's extremely cold.
It's like a panther looking at you. It's like you're just food.
Yeah,
Like I don't hate you.
I'm just waiting for you to make a mistake, and I'm gonna ask for your agonizer.
Yeah, I don't hate you,
Right.
I don't care about you.
but I don't care about you.
Yeah, dispassionate. He's
Yeah.
dispassionate in what he does, which makes it worse somehow.
Yeah. Because you can't beg for mercy.
No.
he doesn't
No.
care.
Mr.
Doesn't care.
Kyle,
He's not-
Mr. Kyle's proven that.
Yeah,
No.
Spock is not moved by your emotions on either universe.
But what a great choice when I know I was laughing, but what a great choice to just drop the agonizer because they were going to deal with it. They weren't just going to make. They could have just easily just did a cutaway and he could have just in the next scene is him talking, but it just added that sort of like
I don't care.
I don't care thing. I don't care where it lands.
You've been agged, and I don't care.
Yeah, maybe you cut and the agonizer lands on Kyle's back of his head and starts going off again. I don't know.
Well, what would have really been insult to injury if they had shown a scene of Kyle crawling across the floor to pick it up because he's got to put this thing back on his belt
That's right.
after he's been done in.
Yeah, so this Spock is so menacing, but he looks so good.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's perfect.
the way the character looks. So he comes into the bridge, and they're preparing for planetary bombardment. They're preparing to
Systematically phaser each city.
systematically phaser the Hulkin city, and they're coming upon the first Hulkin city. And Sulu asks that they're going beyond our lock. Do I need to change our orbit
Right.
so we can have geostationary orbit and just blast them until the cows come home, or what?
Yeah.
And Kirk says, no, don't change the orbit. And then Spock automatically jumps in and goes, target the next city.
So go to second city, second
Right.
target.
Yeah.
And this is where Kirk deviates from what is obviously standard procedure, and Spock begins to question what's happening with him. Kirk's drawn suspicion at this point in his attempt not to have the Halkins killed.
Now, for all of our followers on Men in Track, I'm going to ask you this question. If you're Captain Kirk, do you go through the trouble of sparing the Hulkins in a different universe, or do you let them be phasered to keep yourself in the clear? This becomes a moral choice.
Yes, let us
You'll never see these Hulkins again, hopefully, if you get out of there.
let us know in the comments. Phaser or no phaser?
So that's the point. Kirk has to make a moral decision. He's been trying to hold on to being the Kirk from his universe, but the doors are quickly closing here, which he puts himself in jeopardy of being killed. And Kirk's girlfriend, Miss Monroe, was it Marlena?
Marlena.
She points it out, and we'll get to that scene.
Yeah, don't.
But Kirk has to make the decision here, and he goes, no, we're not going to. He calls the Hulkins again.
Well, you know what's interesting with Marlena, besides the obvious? She's the only character that we're not familiar with in the parallel universe that gets enough screen time for you to start seeing what her thoughts are and her positions and how she, what her, where she sits in all this. And I found it pretty interesting, and we'll get there, but she's the only character really that you don't have in your head, what would this person be like in the USS Enterprise?
Who are they and what would they do?
Right.
Meanwhile, on the bridge, Kirk is bluffing purely on the strength of the fact that he's the captain, and he's going to make a decision and hope he can carry it. But it's also interesting because it means Kirk's kind of getting a glimpse of how deep this goes. He doesn't understand that his position as captain is not immutable.
Can I make an observation about the Hulkin chief of their council?
He looks different.
He looks like he's been tortured.
Yes, he looks like he's been roughed up.
Yeah, he looks like he's been introduced to some of the Empire's negotiations.
So the captain of the Empire roughed him up and then beamed up.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Gave him a little taste of the agonizing, told him to give him a little time to think about it.
Now when Kirk calls him and says that you have 12 hours, the Hulkin says, you can give us 12 years. We're not going to make any difference.
Years.
Or 12,000 years. And Kirk goes, well, we'll just blast your planet. We're not fighting you on this. You can do what you want to.
Right.
But what's strange or what's interesting is the Hulkins in both universes are the same. The Hulkins are pacifists in the original universe, and they're pacifists in this universe.
Yes, it's pacifist and beaten pacifist.
Now, it would have been a lot easier to blast them into oblivion if these Hulkins in the Empire's universe were warlike.
Or resisting.
Well, I think also, too, when I was a kid, I probably made the assumption that parallel meant the opposite. And I think parallel in this case means that there were similar origins, but there was enough free will for things to diverge if they wanted to. So it's not an absolute opposite universe. It's a parallel universe, and some things have remained the same. The Hulkins have remained the same. Spock is
Still a Vulcan, still first officer.
Yep, but still logical in what it is that he's going to do. Now, within the setting of the ISS Enterprise, logic dictates that he's probably going to have to kill somebody, and he
won't hesitate.
He won't hesitate. But I was okay with the Hulkins being the same because, like I said, in a parallel universe, it doesn't mean that it's a complete opposite of what we know. There are going to be some things that could have evolved in the same pathway.
Right. They're just not in Bizarro world.
Right. They're not in Bizarro world.
Everything is not completely flipped upside down.
The dichotomy here is the Federation and Starfleet. That is the thing that is different.
Right.
The Federation or the Empire.
And in another parallel universe, it could be the Hulkins that are over Earth
and the aggressors
demanding starships to put their dilithium crystals in.
So Kirk gives them another 12 hours, and Spock says,
right, this is where Kirk finds out that even the captain's role is
unprecedented,
limited.
This has never happened before, that a species, given the opportunity to bow or die, were given 12 hours to make a decision. Think of that. You, ISS Enterprise, the Empire rolls up on your planet and tells you, we want your water, your women, your guns, whatever. you're not given a whole lot of time to make a decision. It's either yes, take my wife, or the elimination of the whole culture.
Just my dilithium crystals, please.
And it's interesting in this episode, I think I'm right. You never see Spock approach his science station.
No, he doesn't.
No.
Now, he does talk about later on, he prefers his scientific duties over general command, but he never gets near that council.
No. He's too busy trying to figure out what his captain's doing.
He's on him.
Yes.
He's not leaving him for a minute. He's standing right next to him, watching him.
Because he's not responding like Kirk
Like he
normally
should.
responds. So Spock thinks something's wrong with them. Something happened in the transporter. Something's going on.
Oh, Spock's suspicious already, immediately.
So
And this just confirms his suspicions.
right. So after the unprecedented statement, Kirk pops out of his chair. Spock asks him, "What are you going to do?" And Kirk goes, "I'll let you know in my own sweet time."
Right. Kirk's trying to bluff his way through it, but Kirk's not really understanding how this universe works.
I think he's trying to. I think that's his way of saying, okay, if I'm evil Kirk, I would tell somebody, you know what, I'll let you know when I want you to know.
Right.
But he's, of course he says it very politely, in my own good time.
Yeah.
And you can see Spock's kind of seeing through this.
I kept thinking that Kirk, even though he's trying to play it off, is probably not nearly as harsh as his counterpart.
Oh no!
Oh no!
His counterpart's probably ridiculous.
Oh.
Just a glimpse they give us in the
Yeah.
episode of the counterpart.
Yeah.
The original Kirk
Yeah.
in the ISS universe would have cussed Spock out,
Kirk-
or probably had him grabbed and dragged
or
away.
phasered, agonized, something. Yeah.
Well, I think he would have been more.
Direct.
Well, there might not have been any problem because the original Kirk would have just blasted the
Oh, well, of
Hulking
course.
Council out
Well,
of existence.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's a given. That's what's got Spock set off. Is the Kirk he knows is an Empire man. He's going to take care of it.
Yeah, they would be.
There's not going to be any hesitation.
Ain't gonna be no second conversation.
No.
And I think that's part of Spock's test.
It is.
The whole idea that Kirk just wouldn't dress him down right there or do whatever. I don't know what you would do with Spock in that situation. He wasn't being insubordinate, but he was pointing out that, you're doing things that you really shouldn't
Well,
be.
Spock tells him point blank, "You're violating the regs. We're
Right.
supposed to fry these guys."
Right.
And the mirror universe Kirk would have.
Yes.
There would have been no question. There would have been no conflict between him and the mirror universe Spock.
Right.
Right.
Kirk would have came back up and say, "Yep, blast them."
He and
And I kept thinking of the alternate, not the alternate, the Calvin universe, Kirk and Spock,
yes.
or should I say, Khan. I'll walk across your cold dead bodies and scoop up the dilithium.
Yeah.
It'd be no issue about it.
Right.
Right.
So to get out of this, Kirk swings his chair around, shuts off communication, shuts off phasers, goes to Uhura and say, "Get the landing party, in essence, McCoy, Scotty, and you to meet me in my."
No, he leaves her there, and she
No, I-
looks up at him.
I think he tells her.
No, he leaves her on the bridge.
Let's see what it says.
Yeah. Because, he says, have Dr. McCoy and Mr. Scott meet me there. And then she kind of looks up.
Yeah, that's right.
I
Yeah,
like
what
I
about
like
me?
I like the very knowing look from Mr. Chekhov. You don't know what's coming, but the very knowing, and the fact that and what he does with the council before he leaves,
Cruise control.
What I noticed about Chekhov in the original episode,
signaling his guys,
in the real episodes, or should I say
the regular
the
universe.
regular universe, Chekhov smiles a lot.
Oh yeah,
Chekhov is very
He's
approachable.
He's that happy.
He's that young.
Guy.
He's that young guy who's trying to please the boss.
Right.
Here in the mirror universe, Chekhov don't smile at all.
Oh. Well,
he does at one particular
he
time.
sort of gives you the pirate smile.
Yeah, he smiles when he's about to blast his boss.
Right.
But this Chekhov is cool. He's cool and cold.
This must have been. I gotta believe this was a lot of fun for the cast to kind of get out of their normal
Oh, yeah.
places. And
I think most actors like to play evil characters. It's just you don't
You
get
don't want
cast
to get
for type.
Right,
Yeah,
you don't want to get typecast.
yeah,
But it's funny because before he leaves, Spock says to him, he goes, I got to report this.
right,
And Kirk's like, do what you got to do.
right.
He's like, okay. Good luck on that turbo lift.
Yeah.
Deck 5.
I like how they fake the turbo lift moving with the lights in the background.
Oh yeah.
What do you mean talking
And the
about? It's
sound.
actually moving. It's a Star Trek.
Oh yeah, they built a turbo lift.
Yeah,
He's-
there's this huge tower.
Chekhov is looking at Kirk in that turbo lift like he smells bad. He's like just like, I don't know what's happened to you, but
This
you're
is
done.
my
You're
moment.
done. This is gonna be a short ride.
Palm strike to the face.
That's one of the best Kirk hits in all the episode. Kirk goes and gets off the turbo lift, and as soon as the doors open, you see this hand just palm strike him like right in the face, and he kind of looks off to the right. He's like dazed, but I mean, it was great.
That's a Buddha palm.
The Buddha palm. He gets the Buddha palm. Pow.
Good morning, Captain.
Yeah. And so what we have is we've got Chekhov with what appear to be 3 of his henchmen.
Or two of his diehards, and the blue guy in blue seems to be a new recruit. He's been promised some things.
Right. And they're going to basically phaser the captain and move up. Chekhov, I think, tells him, you'll die, captain, and we all move up in rank.
Well, first, no one will miss a captain.
He's emboldened by Kirk's disobeying of orders.
Disobey the orders of the Empire. Nobody's going to miss you, dude.
Yeah, nobody's going to question it because you're disobeying orders.
Does it say ISS on the Enterprise?
No, I don't think it does.
I think it just says NCC.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. No, it says ISS.
It says ISS, yeah.
And that's probably in the. Do you think the original did that, or they did that with the remix?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
They'd have to paint that model.
Well, they made some changes to it.
Yeah,
So.
I guess so. The deflector dish looks more bronze or something. Oh, so anyways, so Kirk goes to make his move. No, the blue jumper guy.
Yeah, the crewman in blue
doesn't back up Chekhov like he's supposed to. He actually goes rogue and starts helping the captain.
He reevaluates his position.
Yeah, and phasers guys in the hallway.
Yeah, murder.
Phasers 2 guys. Yeah, there you go. There's one, and there's the other guy.
And they glow green instead of red, which I don't know if that happens in other episodes or not.
Did they sizzle? I don't think there's a sizzle, is there? No.
It's quick.
Those phasers are a little different.
It's quick.
Well,
it's
they're
quick.
not disruptors. It's not a disruptor.
Yeah, they're not disruptors. Phasers are quick.
Yeah.
And Kirk's personal guys show up.
Yeah.
Kirk has to call them off because new guy's about to get it.
I can see the original Kirk or the alternate universe Kirk dressing down his boys pretty tough for not being there.
Maybe even killing. Well,
I don't think and Marlena refers to this a little bit later on.
Yes, she does.
He wouldn't have got on the turbo lift without his boys.
He wouldn't have fallen for it.
Yeah.
He would have read Chekhov. Chekhov might not have come off that turbo lift.
Chekhov would not have come off that turbo lift. You're absolutely right.
Is it safe to fire a phaser in a moving turbo lift?
Seeing how it only kills the initial target, yeah.
Don't miss.
Now,
Don't miss.
I was curious. Is this guy right here? Is he a part of the normal universe, or is this just a mirror character?
It's just somebody you see in this episode.
Okay.
He's a recurring stuntman, and you see him a lot in
Okay.
different roles.
Because I was going to say they don't go into it, but I'm assuming because of the world they live in, they probably have a pretty close relationship.
Well, they do
He's
say
like the
that-
lead guard.
Yeah, they say he's a chief, which is a non-commissioned officer, so he'd be fairly high-ranking on the ship.
Yeah, the older bald gentleman, you see him in episode number 2, Charlie X, and he's one of the security guys.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And him and Kirk try to teach Charlie some moves and stuff. So he's a recurring character in the show, but he's very minor.
He plays in the one episode where they've got the virtual war and you have to go into the disintegrator. He's in that episode. He's in a lot of episodes.
Yeah,
he's a stuntman. I think he originally was a stuntman, but
Yeah.
yeah. And then the guy who turned, he's like, well, I did your job for you. He tells Kirk's security chief, and the security chief goes, yeah, switching, to the top dog. That's smart. And the guy says to Kirk, hey,
Chekhov was going to promote me.
yeah, and you can make me an officer. And Kirk goes, yeah, maybe even a captain. And then he punches him out. Not on my ship.
The guy goes like, yeah, I could be a captain.
Once a traitor, always a traitor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he would. If that was the actual mirror universe Kirk, I don't think that crewman would have survived that choice.
Oh, no. You'd have been dead.
I don't know.
Once a traitor, always a traitor.
But I think you'd use him, right?
Yeah, to a point, and then he'll be dead.
You could use him to test some some strength on the ship. Like you'd give him a suicide mission, basically.
Could.
And he would be dead.
Yeah, he'd be dead.
I don't think that the mirror universe Kirk is very cunning. He has to be very cunning.
Yeah, to make captain and stay captain in this universe.
And he's got to be.
I don't know how cunning do you have to be if you have a Tantalus field.
Yeah, but you got to have somebody to operate the Tantalus field, and we'll get into that. His choice of
I think he
Marlena.
was doing it most of the time.
Yeah.
But let's go on. So in Kirk's chamber, is this his chamber? Or is this just the?
That's his quarters. Yeah.
Is it because when he goes to his quarters later, she's waiting? That she's just not there at this point.
This might be the captain's ready room.
Yeah. I'm wondering if.
Or maybe the other court. Yeah, this has got to be the captain's ready
this
room.
is his. This is like his.
No, it is his quarters.
Yeah, it's his quarters.
It's his quarters.
He just hasn't gone back into the bedroom yet.
Oh,
That door
Yeah.
behind him is where Marlene is.
okay. So
Yeah.
he meets McCoy and
See the
Scotty.
bed? See the bed behind
Yeah.
Scotty? Yeah.
Yeah.
He meets McCoy and
She's just
Scotty.
not there yet.
She's not there yet.
And he's having the conversation with them about what's going on. And McCoy dabs his chin and goes, "What's this?" And Kirk makes that comment, "It's blood."
It's
You know,
blood.
It's called blood.
Yeah.
and he informs
Called
them.
I got beat up in the hallway.
He informs them that the officers move up because of by assassination, and then they start talking about the difference in the ship. Scotty makes a comment, and McCoy makes a comment that his medical bay becomes a chamber of horrors. That they're betting on how much pain a guy can take until he passes out.
Wouldn't it have been great to see Nurse Chapel try to put a knife in McCoy?
But see, these are amoral people. They're
Utterly.
They're not
Utterly.
adhering to anything that we would deem by normal society as righteous or right thinking.
Cutthroat.
They're cutthroat.
Absolutely
Well,
cutthroat.
Scotty says it's like Sulu is the security chief, like the ancient Gestapo. So we actually get the Nazi reference here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you actually have to have papers to go from one point to areas of the ship.
Yeah, you have to have
Authorization.
even the captain's word alone is not enough to get you into some place.
Well, you probably have to go through channels.
Right.
Because under this type of jurisdiction, all the forms have to be followed.
Yeah.
So you just can't say, well, the captain told me to come here.
Kirk would have to tell Sulu to let so and so go
Right.
to place X.
Right.
And why would that be? For the Empire to keep control.
Right.
So
Of
you
course.
couldn't get one rogue guy. What happens in Star Trek, the original universe, you have several captains that go rogue.
Yes.
A lot of them.
Quite a few.
But in the Empire, I don't think you get too many captains going rogue.
Well, it depends on how you define rogue. Killing another captain or killing someone else, sure.
No, just taking your ship and leaving the Empire.
No.
I think in the ISS universe, like we did the Doomsday Machine, I think if you came across Deckard and he was on his ship, I think you just phaser him, blow up the ship, and you just
Yeah.
off you go.
Yeah, Kirk says, Matt, you're not looking too good.
That's right. Where's
I
your
think
crew?
I'm about
your
to
crew.
become-
Your crew is gone. Your ship is useless. You're just supercargo. Bye.
No, it's like, Matt,
Don't you think I know that?
it's like, Matt, I appreciate this chance to become a Commodore.
That's
Thanks for
Yeah, but the point I'm getting at is your crew won't let you go too far off the rails.
No, they're waiting for you to slip so they can try to take you out.
That's the point. So in the original Star Trek episode where captains go off the deep end, you're not going to get too many captains going off because your first officer is looking for the opportunity.
Well, what Keith says is absolutely correct. Like what I would do is if I came upon what was Decker's ship? What was
Constellation.
You come upon the Constellation that the Commodore's still alive. You beam over there, kill him. You call Starfleet. It's time for me to move up. Then you become a Commodore. Because the Doomsday device did the work for you. You don't report any of that. Like, well, what happened? I just decided I attacked him, took him out.
Nah, I don't think they will
They'd
accept.
still have to deal with the
I-
Doomsday Machine,
no.
but Deckard wouldn't survive.
I don't
it.
think they will accept you just attacking another starship for no reason.
The reason
They-
is for promotion.
Well, no, he didn't attack the starship.
No, see, I think there has to be some type of justification like Chekhov did.
No.
Nobody will report.
Because
Nobody
it's coming up in this scene. There's no justification needed. They tell you there's no justification needed.
I don't think so.
How did Kirk get the ship?
Well, you don't know what
Pike, no,
you don't know what Pike
Pike
did.
was a nice man. Kirk just stuck a shiv
you don't
in
know.
it.
You don't know what Pike,
Pike
did.
didn't do anything
How
wrong.
do you know that?
I know what Pike did. Pike tested the Tantalus field.
Pike turned his back at an inopportune moment.
How do you know that? You don't. See,
We
that's
don't.
a supposition.
It-
You really don't know.
We don't.
Well,
know.
yours,
Pike didn't make-
yours is supposition.
Pike didn't make a mistake, and Kirk goes, "Okay, you got to go." And
Pike
and the Empire accepted it.
Pike showed a moment of vulnerability, and Kirk took him.
Well, that's
Yeah,
what-
because I think what the Empire wants is that if at any point you're weak enough to get killed, it's time for you to be replaced.
But they,
And that's why Marlene, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I feel like they want people to still go through them. You know,
Could be.
like let the Empire, like
make the decision.
this guy needs to die.
Now,
You're right. They probably want to make the call.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You just couldn't go off to some and
Now-
phase ring and say, "I
Could
move
you
up."
call? So then let's say we come upon Decker and I call Starfleet and I say, crew's dead.
He's broke down.
He's there.
He's whimpering.
Which one is that?
Yeah.
Don't you think I know that?
He's in this state. You call back Starfleet and you say, he needs to be taken out. He's failed. He's failed his mission. He's failed his crew. He lost his crew. He's lost his ship.
And they'll give you the okay.
Okay.
But there has to be a justification. Chekhov says
no one will question your death because you're disobeying orders.
no one will question officer or captain who disobeyed the orders of the Empire.
Right.
Yeah.
Now the other consequence of that in this kind of universe is, let's say you assassinate a captain and his buddy, the admiral, decides he doesn't like it.
Oh yeah, you got you got a problem. You got a problem. You come back to Starbase thinking you're going to get a promotion, and they phaser you. That's the consequence.
Or even as Spock alludes to later, the captain's guys still aboard ship decide they're gonna get a little payback for the captain.
And that's a possibility too.
Yep.
So everybody's a dangerous man or woman. So you got to be careful. But here they go back to Kirk's ready room, his quarters,
Marlene is very dangerous.
and they're trying to figure out. They understand now that the crew members are dangerous.
Yeah.
And they're trying to figure out what's going on. And Kirk goes to the computer to find out how they can get back to their own universe and let the computer do all the computations.
And to get a glimpse into they get a deeper glimpse into what kind of world they're dealing with as well.
That's after.
Well, one thing I thought that was kind of neat was as soon as the computer started talking, it was a male voice.
Yeah.
And the
normal computer,
the normal enterprise computer is a female voice. And Kirk just kind of like, he notices it. You know, he just, once again, Sir William Shatner.
It's one more thing on the ice on the top of the Frosty.
Right.
So they get the information from the computer how to fix it, how to make the Einstein-Rosen bridge crossover, and he gives it to Scotty to implement. Scotty goes, I can't do it alone.
Right.
And then they look at McCoy, and McCoy makes his usual statement, I'm a doctor, I'm not an engineer. And Scotty makes a quick quip. Hey, you are today, buddy.
Yeah, and basically what Kirk does, he says to the computer, he says, is it possible that this ion storm could have caused what we're experiencing? And the computer says affirmative. And then he's saying, could there be conditions created by us that could get us back to where we need to go? And the computer says
duplicate.
affirmative. And then Kirk says,
Computate.
compute. He does it. He hands it to Scotty and says, can you do it? And Scotty's like, not by myself, and you'd be too conspicuous. So that's where McCoy gets to say, I'm a doctor, not an engineer.
And Scotty squashes that and says, you are today.
It's like,
We need you. So Scotty goes off thinking about what he has to do. And once again, the moralizer, McCoy, is worrying about what type of people they are
right.
in this universe. And Kirk asks for his record of the command. And they start to go through telling you the backstory of the Empire's Kirk. That there was not a beautiful ceremony of the translation of authority from one captain to the other taking over the Enterprise.
It was beautiful.
That did not happen.
Pike was a beautiful shade of blue for a second.
No, green, remember?
No. He got the Tantalus field. Tantalus field is blue.
So Pike
Blue
disappears by
blue like his eyes, Mark.
disappears by assassination, and then he starts going through the various Kirk records as we did court martial. All the things that Kirk has behind his name that are lofty, you get the negative here of the mirror Kirk.
Bloody.
He destroys a planet that was during an uprising, and then he killed 5,000 people
On a colony.
for in a colony or something. Yeah. Execution of 5,000 colonists on Vega 9.
It's outstanding.
I wonder what they didn't do.
They said no.
They probably said, no, we're not giving you our
They
dilithium.
held up.
No, they said, let me think about it.
Yeah.
He says, well, 5,000 of you won't be able to think
They
about
got
it.
out. They got out in the streets waving signs, and nobody was having that.
And then, of course, Scotty can do it, but, of course, it's going to take...
It's going to be picked up.
It's going to be picked up, and they're going to need a distraction on the bridge.
It's going to be picked up because they got to tie the engines into
The
the transporter, and that
and the security
and
man is-
that fluctuation of engine power will show up on
the security
the
board
security board.
Yep.
So they need a Hura to work her magic
distract Mr. Sulu.
on Mr. Sulu.
Yeah.
And then here we get the second opportunity where McCoy says, if we're here doing this, what are they doing on our Enterprise? And finally we get the reveal. Because now we know enough, right?
Right.
We learned as they did. The writers treated us like adults.
Right.
And they said, you can have patience because the payoff will be is that when we show you this, it'll mean more.
You see,
If they just cut to this in the very beginning, you haven't learned enough to know why it would happen this way.
and logically, you'd have to cut back and forth for the rest of the episode
Right.
up to this point.
Because they really only do this once.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And they do, it's really good because it switches, and you got two brawny lads dragging evil Kirk to the brig.
And he's screaming, where's my personal guy?
Where's my people? What's going on?
Yeah. And then he just begins to just heave insults at Spock. I'll hang you up by you're a traitorous pig, I think he calls him.
Traitorous pig.
And then I'll hang you up by your Vulcan ears, and and then Spock is just Spock. He's just like, look, something's happening. I haven't figured it out yet. And
You know what's funny? You get the impression, even Mirror Kirk and Mirror Spock, friends might be too strong a word, but they're not enemies. They have a relationship. Kirk is shocked that Spock is doing this.
Right.
On top of everything else, on top of all the strangeness, Kirk's like, what are you doing, Spock?
Well, the mirror Spock doesn't seem like he dislikes Kirk.
Right, that's what I'm getting at.
He actually makes a statement.
It's like, I want Kirk in place.
to Kirk that we've done well together.
Right.
right.
That's what I mean. They've got a
Good working relationship.
For the mirror universe and the Empire, if two guys, that's about as close to having a pal as you can get. You're allies. You're at mutual purpose. They don't have an issue with each other.
No, I agree.
So the original Spock is dealing with the mirror Kirk, and he is, what did he say? Intrigued. Roll it back a little bit.
Yeah, he says,
Artie.
he says apparently some kind of
Extremely fascinating.
transposition has taken place. I find it
Extremely
extremely
interesting that the way Kirk is responding. He knows something's up. He knows this is not his Kirk. He hasn't figured it out yet.
Got onto him pretty fast.
He hasn't figured it out yet. Because if you're Kirk, you're the alternate reality Kirk. You're the mirror Kirk. You're walking around ship. Ain't nobody saluting. Nobody got agonizers. You'd be like, whoa, what's going on here? You're used to being the dominating force. You're not going to approach things gently.
No. No matter how hard you try to play it off.
Yeah, but it's interesting when evil Kirk is yelling at Spock, he goes, what is it that will buy you?
Yeah.
What do you want? Money?
mean?
You want a ship? All this other stuff. Which kind of goes a little bit against what you were saying, is that they knew each other really well. I think in the mirror universe, the evil universe, Kirk understood enough about Spock to understand his ability to be a threat. But if he knew him really well, he would say, okay, Spock, I can give you Vulcan. I know that's what you want. Or you've always wanted a command. I'm going to give that to you. But he's questioning him on things that you think that the evil Captain Kirk should have known about that alternative Spock. What is it that you want? Because I think in this universe, and well, he actually tells him. There's a scene coming up, and he goes, "Look," I prefer to be less of a target. I like my scientific duties better, but if I have to be the captain, I will."
I think that's due to the writing, because they don't have a lot of time to play on it, and it takes you away from the overall arc of the story.
And they're really trying to drill home how rotten Kirk is.
Well, in that scene, they're
In
trying
that
to drill
scene.
home, because you just came from a scene telling you all the evil things he did.
Right.
Albeit in that universe, they're not evil. That is just the way the universe is. The Empire runs.
Right.
And this is what the Empire does. And the Mirror Kirk is a Class A Empire guy.
Yes, that's one thought I had as we were watching the episode. Much like we talk about how Kirk is an exemplary captain in our universe, the Mirror Kirk is every bit the go-getter. He's the right guy in the Empire. He's that right cap. He's still that guy. He's still the captain.
Yep.
It's just such a different environment that what those qualities embody is completely different. But Kirk's an Empire guy. The Mirror Kirk he's ruthless, he's cunning, he's smart. He's all those things you need to be to make it as a captain in the Empire.
Right.
Well, maybe even more so, because I think we always talk about if you make one mistake, you leave a switch open, whatever, you don't become captain. He's got to deal with all that, and with people who are trying to assassinate
And
him.
agonizers.
And agonizers.
Well,
Because as Jim points out, the original universe Enterprise, there's not a lot of room for mistakes.
No,
You might not get ag booth, but your career is
is
dead.
tanked.
Yeah.
You'll be off that ship.
Now in the ISS Enterprise, you get all that plus the ag.
Well, at Kirk's level in the ISS, it's not even agonizers in the booth. Nobody's going to put you in the booth. They're going to kill
Oh
you.
yeah,
Yeah.
they'll kill you.
Yeah.
You got X amount
Yeah.
of people on the crew at all times angling to take your life.
Well, it's the evil empire. You can't let your captains run free. You can't let them do what they want to do without impunity.
It's not even
or with
that.
impunity.
It's not even that. It's the ambition of the crew. It's the guy who thinks he can make
So that's the whole point.
make lieutenant if you're not around.
You got to have a captain strong enough to crush any of these young and upcoming who think they're going to do something stupid, who's going to get you killed.
and
Because I would bet you money, and this is just hypothetical, that the ISS universe, if the crew did something stupid and messed up a mission, they would hold the captain responsible.
Absolutely.
but the captain would probably execute all those in the
But if the captain didn't, if the captain was soft on a particular guy,
Oh, well, yeah,
and
of
that guy
course.
did something stupid, and the captain didn't respond to him like he should have.
then the first officer steps in and takes him out and takes the shit.
Well, in the military, when I was in basic training, if somebody screwed up, the platoon was supposed to punish them. So it's like if somebody messed up on those ship, I would think that the rank and file would solve that issue for you. But like to your point, Mark, if it was big enough that it got out to Starfleet that you messed up, somebody's gonna die.
And a head didn't roll. You had a Finney on your ship that left an atomic switch open,
Well,
and you didn't ag boof him, let alone kill him.
Yeah.
Hold on, I don't know if I can keep you as captain.
same thing happens here as we go forward.
Well, that's the point
Yeah.
I'm making. So after we see the mirror universe Kirk, and he tries to bribe and cajole Spock, and we see our Spock saying, "This is interesting. I don't have any of the answers. I don't know where your personal guard is, but we're going to try to get you back to where you belong,
Right.
because you obviously don't belong
Don't
in this
belong here.
universe." We switch back to the ISS Enterprise and Kirk walking stupidly by himself down the hall
Down the
without his bully boys. Now, I understand he can't clue his bully boys into everything he's doing.
I don't know why you can't. I would. I'd be sitting in the John going, hand me that toilet paper. I'm not doing nothing.
Remember, he's having meetings with McCoy. And Scott.
I'd have two guys standing behind Marlena while she was laying in bed. I would trust nobody.
Marlene hasn't even come into the store yet.
She's never left mine.
But Kirk is walking down the hall by himself, and out of the blue beams in, and he doesn't beam. He just walks through from around the corner. Spock and his bully boy.
A Vulcan bully boy with his own agonizer. How does that even work? I don't know. I don't know if a Vulcan would.
You turn up the volume.
Even the Vulcan having an agonizer, you couldn't get it off the Vulcan to use it on him.
Well, you'd have to order it for him to use it himself.
He's got to obey your orders. You got to say, hand me your agonizer, and he's got to go along with it.
Well, it's interesting what Spock says to him immediately. He says, "I'm glad that you foiled Chekhov's plan. I would regret your death." Like he immediately says that to him.
So that means the working together between the ISS Captain Kirk and the ISS Spock is pretty good.
That's what I was getting at.
I think it's a business arrangement.
I think so.
Yeah, they're not friends. They're allies.
I think there's mutual admiration that both of them have lived long enough to be where they are, and that they're not preoccupied with each other, because Sulu would be able to take them both out if they weren't working together.
Yes.
Right. So the ship in both universes is a well-oiled machine.
Yes.
Just oiled differently.
One
is oiled with love, and
the
one
other
is
is oiled with blood.
Oiled with blood.
Blood and the threat thereof.
Blood and the threat of the agonizer. And as they're walking down and they enter another corridor, guess what?
The ag booth.
The ag booth. Two of Kirk's guys standing there, and one red shirt, and Chekhov in the middle,
making sure it happens,
screaming in agony.
It's not the pain booth. It's the agony booth. And Kirk and Kirk's looking at it, and he's
Kirk's horrified by it. He's like, "What is this?"
Remember, his Chekhov is bubbly. His Chekhov is friendly. His Chekhov is like his little brother. A nice young kid.
Or his son or something.
I
think it's incomprehensible to him
that people would do this to each other.
That people are doing this to their own crew. Mm-hmm. Like, he's just...
Right.
And who plays Chekhov? What's the actor?
Walter Cohen.
Walter Cohen. I'm sorry. Great job. Like, I never looked at that and went like, he's acting. I was like, and the way he's like, like it just builds and it just like hits him. He does.
I'm enjoying. I'm sorry, guys. I'm enjoying the ag booth. I wish I had one. Just had one I could put apprentices in.
He does so well.
Come here, boy.
So well.
You messed that up. Get in the ag booth.
Yeah.
And if you haven't figured out, this is episode 7. If you haven't figured out which captain you would not want to serve under, you got to pick between Palpatine and Daystrum. Choose wisely.
But Spock starts to talk to Kirk, ISS Spock to ISS Kirk, or Mirror Spock to Mirror Kirk. That what Chekhov did merits death. And the ag booth is obviously a lesser sentence.
Well, you get the impression that if you can turn the booth up and take somebody out, but that's up to you. There sounds like there is a standard booth period.
That's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making,
Chekhov should have been killed.
Chekhov did not have authorization to try the attempt of assassination.
Right.
He wasn't authorized to take out Kirk.
Right.
If it worked, it might have been swept under the rug.
Yeah.
But he wasn't authorized, so now punishment.
He's got his hand with the cookie jar.
Right. The punishment for it is death.
Right.
And Kirk is being lenient.
And I think that's what Spock's chat is with him. He's like, I think Spock hasn't, from a logical standpoint, hasn't put together the parallel universe thing. I know he knows there's something wrong with the captain, but in this talk that he has, he's basically, I don't know what's wrong with you, and maybe you've gone soft, but you realize you going soft is going to jeopardize my position. Right. I can't let that happen. If you've broken somehow, if you snapped and you become a soft guy and you like Harlequin romances and Family Channel holiday specials and stuff, that's fine. That's fine. But I can't be a part of that because because I'm not going to get killed because you're starting to make these type of decisions.
The point is, I'm not going down with you.
That's right.
Right. And Spock lays out for him that his breach of regulations is putting him in a position where he'll soon have to take action.
Right. And then Kirk makes his threat. You'll find that I'm not so easily dealt with. And then Spock retorts the threat. You find out.
Coolest
But
line in the episode.
Kirk starts to work on Spock now. He says to him, look, what's the inevitable outcome here? And Spock is like, or is that later on?
It's a little bit later on.
He talks about conquest is
Kirk
easy,
kind of
control
plants the
is not.
seed here.
Yeah, he starts to lay some foundations in ISS Spock that yes, you're doing things logically, but overall it's illogical because the empire's not going to last.
Well, it's easy to conquer territory. And this is the difference between the Air Force and the Army. The Air Force can go through and totally tear a place up,
But they can't keep it.
but they can't keep it. The hard part is the military men on the ground that have to enforce rule,
Hold the
that have to
territory.
hold the territory. So Kirk is, the original Kirk, our Kirk, is making the point that conquest, destroying a place is simple. Holding the place is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And if the population is not with you, you have a problem. So
But
this,
I think he's talking more metaphorically at this point, because if you're Spock and your retort to Kirk would be, you're talking about the Hulkins with no military might, like that's not hard to control because there's not going to be anything left but a dilithium mine.
No, I meant it as metaphorical.
Yep. I agree.
And so they have that conversation, and then Spock go after the jabs. Spock moves off with his bully boy, and Kirk's bully boy comes up and says, "What are we going to do about Chekhov? Or what do you want, Captain?" And then Kirk goes, "Release Chekhov." And then the guy turns around, gives a salute,
Slits heads off.
turns
Right.
around to do the will of his captain.
Right.
And then the scene changes to McCoy and Scotty getting into engineering.
Getting access to the engines.
But see, I don't know. He's a chief engineer. Why all that's necessary?
Because what we've already discussed, even though he's chief engineer, there are certain areas you can't go into without prior authorization.
Your papers,
and
please.
because of what they're,
Engineer?
Your papers,
He's
please.
the chief engineer.
but
Doesn't matter.
they
Your papers,
established
please.
that even so, you can't. It's the expectation of treachery. You can't go and mess with the engines without somebody knowing about
Well,
it.
not only that, the chain of command is different here in ISS.
Yeah.
So my understanding was, and I could be wrong, with the USS Enterprise, that number 3 is Scotty, right? It goes Kirk, Spock, and then Scotty.
Generally, yes.
In this one, it is the chief security officer is number 3.
Yes.
So Scotty would need Sulu's permission
To do something.
to do something, because the chief engineer isn't held in high esteem as it is in the other universe.
And they don't tell you, it could just be flat out. Another reason Sulu's shirt may be red, Sulu just might outrank Scotty in this particular case in the ISS. Sulu might be the commander. And Scotty might be a commander also, or
a lieutenant commander.
Or a lieutenant commander, whereas in our universe, Sulu's only a lieutenant.
Right. And he's a gold shirt
Yes.
in our universe, and he is a red shirt there.
Yes. So he as security officer, he just might flat out outrank Scotty.
See, and that's in the writing. I don't think, or maybe it was the directing, but you're right. That conscious decision to make Sulu a red shirt,
Yes.
and then to basically put him in the chain of command above Scotty, and that's
We should check if they stay consistent with it and thought about it. We should check the braid on Sulu's shirt, on his shirt sleeve.
if we can see if it translates over.
Kirk goes home and he's got a guard outside his door. That shows you what kind of neighborhood this is.
Now his guards, and I haven't figured it out yet. So the jumpsuits, there's blues, there's reds.
Blues, reds, and golds indicates their duty. It's not an indicator of who they're loyal to.
Okay.
different crewmen have chosen sides.
Okay.
Most of Kirk's guys, you see them in blue, but that doesn't mean everybody in blue is a Kirk person, because Spock's bodyguard was in blue.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just talks about their jobs.
Yeah. So I think if you're a red jumpsuit, you're probably
Engineering, or security, or
well, I think he's guarding a personal space.
yeah.
The blue guys seem to be more in like general operations. Like they're walking around and they have some knowledge of what's happening, like the ag booth and the rest of this.
Yeah.
This guy outside Kirk's quarters, he's a red jumpsuit. So
Yeah, so you can't say the jumpsuit determines who the guy is.
No, it doesn't. That's their jobs when they're not, helping somebody murder someone.
Yeah, but I would.
and listen, after a hard day of phasering the Hulkins into non-existence,
That's what I want to come home.
don't you want to come
That's how I want to come home.
into
yeah.
your chambers and seeing Lieutenant Marlena
Yep.
just waiting for you with a couple of glasses of Tranya?
Yeah.
You
yeah.
sexist pigs, you.
No, that's not. There's no misogyny in that. That's
Sexist pigs.
no.
A woman has to be there at your beck and call.
No, not at all. Not at all. No, I don't. She can come home to me. I just wanted to come home.
This is what I miss.
I don't know
And
if I would beckon.
Arthur, you might as well hit it now. This is what I miss about old stories. Eye candy.
Oh,
You're gonna
listen,
talk. You're gonna
this
talk
is
about.
where it goes.
You're gonna talk about that. Huh?
And we talked about this, and maybe it can be in the comments and see what people think. We know that we have a finite amount of episodes with Star Trek, and what's the future of Men on Track. And one of the things we talked about was, after our plan is to talk about as many episodes as we could. Yeah. And then,
then
do the animated series.
And then what?
But then maybe is it men on Bond, men on 007 or whatever. But my point of all that comes back to is that the Bond girls over time have changed.
Well, we're not dealing with Bond now. We're dealing with Star Trek, and we're dealing with the two prominent women in the episode, because
There is a lot of divisiveness in this.
We just came to the point where Kirk enters into his cabin after talking to Spock, and a beautiful woman is laying there on his bed waiting on him. And she turns out to be the captain's girl.
Woman.
Or the captain's woman.
And she's a very strong woman, because she's like, you know what? I heard about what happened with Chekhov, and he's like, yeah, he played and I won. She goes, no, you got lucky.
Well,
yeah, she's not a Daisy.
Yeah, to Jim.
She's a very strong character, but she's a character who's based her power upon a man.
To Jim's earlier point, I half agree with you on that. To Jim's earlier point, they do a good job in a short period of time of establishing that she's a capable, intelligent person. And her capabilities and everything else have gotten her to be the captain's woman. But it's a much a testament to her cunning and her cunning as an individual. Her cunning as an individual, as it is Captain Kirk just being like, oh, she's attractive. There's more to it than that.
Yes,
She's not dumb.
No.
She's not dumb. She's a science officer.
Right. She's in the
But she
sciences.
is very good looking, and the midriff shirt and the whole uniform for females on this Star Trek episode. And you only see two. You see a lot of bully boys.
Yeah, the ISS Enterprise is lacking.
You only see two women, and that's Uhura and her
and Marlena.
And there's a thought going around in Men on Track on which is the number one.
Well, I don't know if we want to be that, as one of my old bosses would have said, I don't know if we want to be that specific. Yes. Whether they're number one or not, it's just, what's your preference? So if you
your preference is your number one.
Yeah.
There's no way around that.
Yeah.
There's two choices.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just trying to find a soft place to
politically
land.
correct way to fall on this.
But I think at least
that hard numero uno.
We're not. I don't think any of us are wrong. So I think
no,
Keith, you're Marlene. If you had to have a captain's woman, Are you going to pick Marlena? Because we only have 2 choices in the episode, folks. It's not us. Okay, this is the way it was written.
Yeah, in other episodes we have more choices.
Yeah, you only have 2 choices. You could have
good.
Uhura as the captain's woman or Marlena as the captain's woman.
Marlena.
So you're picking Marlena, and
Uhura.
okay. So here's my pick. Both. I'm the captain. I can have them both.
You
Right.
misogynist, dirty dog. Hit it off.
No. he's fun in the context.
Objectifying women like that.
No.
You can't have both.
In the context of what we're talking about. Ooh, yeah, that's probably
Both.
warranted.
Both. I don't have
Ships
to make. I
damaged.
don't have to make that. I don't have to make that decision.
But
I'll take them both.
In defense of Jim's statement, we're talking about the ISS, the alternate
That's right.
universe, and he's not wrong.
I'm surrounded by dogs.
Well, you know,
You chauvinist piggies.
you need to go ahead and eat your puppy tail.
I'm not making a beautiful woman number 2.
Now,
Yeah, Mr. Numero
That's
Uno.
right.
now.
Mr.
They're both number
Mr.
one.
Demanding your number one.
So the ISS captain has his woman who is waiting for him after her duty shift because she's a science officer.
Right.
And she's waiting for him, and she comes in, and she already knows
What's
about
been
the
going on?
checkoff incident. And she chews him a little good one
Yes, she does.
by saying, you've
Taking risks.
gotten sloppy.
Right.
Now, she's saying that, well, I think Marlena actually cares about Kirk,
She does.
but he is also her meal ticket.
Yeah, she knows. She knows if he goes down, she goes down.
I think that she loved him in the beginning, and then she realized that he was not going to give that love back. And so she decided that this was going to be a relationship that she was going to try to make the best of it, but it was still going to be beneficial at the end of the day. She wasn't going to waste her time in it.
I disagree with you slightly.
Yeah, I disagree as
Okay,
well.
that's good.
It's
For a more interesting episode.
she sheds light on the nature. She sheds a lot of light on the nature of this world in several ways. It's obvious from the get-go that her ambition, outside of whatever achievements she has in the science department, her ambition was to be a captain's woman. And she worked her way and achieved that with Kirk. Does she care for him? Yes. But at the end of the day, she's still driven by her own ambitions. And
She spends a lot of time talking about how things used to be.
Well, yeah, but there's a point. What you get there is there's a point where Kirk was very enamored with her, and by the time you come up to this present time, where our Kirk is interacting with her, he's probably gotten a little bored or preoccupied with other things. He's not paying attention, which happens in a lot of relationships. But she's still underneath
That's
it all.
why you have a hero there as well.
Well, there you go.
Right.
But maybe that's where he's preoccupied. But you still have the underlying thing of
Still means Uhura is number one.
she the backup is not number one. She still is driven by her own ambition. She still desires to be in the position of, and what comes with being a captain's woman. And everything she's telling him when he comes into the quarters lets you know what happens on this ship. She knows everything. She knows Sulu tried to kill him and what happened to Sulu. She knows
Chekhov.
all that.
Chekhov,
Chekhov.
yeah.
She knows all this stuff that has happened before he gets to talk to her. So the rumor mill on the ship has a dangerous edge to it.
Right.
People know what everybody is doing.
Yes.
How can you miss it when you walk down the hall and you see Chekhov? Ah! He's egg boofing, man.
It's probably
Yo, Joe, what happened to Chekhov? you didn't hear?
It's probably
he tried to kill the captain.
It's probably on a channel.
And
It's
you
like
see- and you
here's
see-
my technical stuff, my reports, and then channel 23.
The days of our lives inside the ISS Enterprise.
It's the Ag Booth
Well, no.
channel. Who's on it? Nobody's in there right now.
and of course the giveaway is that Kirk's guys are standing there while he's getting the
They're
treatment.
probably taking bets on how long Chekhov lasts
maybe.
in the ag booth.
Yeah, but I think that's the beauty of the Ag Booth. You can last indefinitely. It's probably feeding you and taking care of everything else so that you can. It's not letting you go unconscious.
If
it's not the blackout booth.
I got the impression the way Spock talked about it that if they leave it on a certain setting, you can just writhe in there indefinitely.
That's what I'm
Now,
saying.
if you crank it up a couple levels, it kills you. But and I always thought maybe there's a booth on every deck.
So-
I mean, who wants to go? Who wants to walk
yeah,
that
you
far?
can't wait for the. Yeah, you're right.
Who wants to walk?
It's like.
Who wants to have to catch the elevator to get to the booth?
Although talk about psychologically, like punishment. It's like, well, what's going on? What do you doing tomorrow, Joe? Well, I'm waiting for Chekhov to come out of the ag booth because I'm next.
Yeah, I kind of slipped up today. I'm getting some booth time.
I got some booth time.
I can see coworkers on the ship say, "Man, you better be careful. The booth is waiting on you."
No,
There's a booth scheduler. Hi, this is Lieutenant Clarice in booth scheduling.
No,
Would you like? I only have 45 minutes on Wednesday. So
No, you're working in a department and you make a mistake and you frame the other guy so he gets the booth, so he gets a little agonizer time and gets the booth. You framing guys?
Ooh, I don't know if you would frame a guy.
Oh yeah, they would. ISS man,
I think the consequences of you framing.
No,
you better not get caught.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. If you get caught, your life might be forfeit. Because there's got to be countermeasures set in there to keep people from doing that.
Run that back and show Daystrum the booth. Are you not gonna frame somebody to avoid the booth?
Not of being caught for framing me.
I see what
I
you're
get
saying.
put out the airlock.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Well, it's not framing them; it's placing the blame away from you.
Yeah,
framing them is like I do something up
yeah,
front.
No, not
you catching the blame, and you're like, "Hey, it really ain't me; it was him."
Yeah,
it's
not
Captain
making,
Daystrum that.
Yeah,
did
that's
this.
exactly what I'm saying. Not making something up,
right?
But you screw up, and in that moment, you know you screwed up.
Yeah,
and you can just slide it.
Yeah,
and say it was Audio Arthur, and Arthur surfs the booth, and you don't.
See,
you better not be around when Audio Arthur comes out of the booth.
That's what I said. Audio.
That's what happens when you ally yourself with Captain Daystrum.
That's why we need to mutiny.
That should be a T-shirt. The cover with right there. So, how's your ag booth day?
So Marlena is having the conversation. We've been introduced to ISS Kirk's woman, and during the initial conversation, where she downdresses him for being caught off guard. Right. Chekhov getting the drop on him, which should have never happened.
Right. He should have never been caught short.
He should have never been without his bully boys. Spock calls him over the intercom and tells him that he just received a private communication from Starfleet and a target has just been placed on your back, Captain.
He even tells him, he goes, "I'm committing a breach of regulations."
Right. It's another indicator of their relationship.
Yeah.
It's another indicator of their relationship. He's like, "I'm not supposed to tell you this, but I got orders."
Right.
And it goes back to what you were talking about, Mark. Starfleet called him in his quarters directly and said, "Hey,
we're giving Kirk, our boy, up to Planet Dawn,
right,
to do the work
and
that we've given him."
And then if not,
Kirk's even gotten enough. He's so the ISS Kirk is so well thought of.
He's getting some leeway.
He's getting leeway from the Empire.
Yes.
He's already broken regulation.
I think that is a very good argument, but I'm going to try to place one next to it and not to take away from yours. I think there could also be that Starfleet, when you get to that level, there's a concern that he's onto something that could really challenge the Admiralty. Like, in other words, I think that your argument is right. I'm not saying it's not wrong.
That's what Marlena alludes to.
Right. Is that he's proved himself. We're going to cut him some slack. The other thing is that we're going to give him a specific period of time, because anything beyond that, he may figure out something. He's come across something that's going to upset the balance of power.
And that goes back to the conversation he's having with Marlena in this scene, when she's trying to figure out why he disobeyed orders. And it really speaks to Evil Kirk's character. Evil Kirk would have dropped the hammer, no question, on time, on schedule, no sweat.
He's a company man.
He'd have got it done. So she's saying, why are you doing this when you know it puts you in jeopardy? And her mind, knowing him, jumps to something that big. She's like, are you really going that far?
There's got to be something in it for you.
Something big.
You're not gonna break reg for the Hulkins.
Right.
You're looking to get a payday out of it.
Right. There's something huge on the other end of this.
There's another Tantalus field, because remember, she has that knowledge. We haven't talked about it. It's coming up here, but part of his power, which is still unknown by everybody, is this
Tantalus,
this
device he came across.
alien scientist's laboratory had this device. It's basically it's like an internal beam to nowhere, which we talked a little bit about in previous episodes.
So as Spock has a conversation and lets Kirk know that he has this information, which is against regs, to tell Kirk that if you have a limited amount of time and then I'm giving orders to kill you, Marlena makes the conversation how much she likes Spock, that he's a noteworthy guy.
I'm gonna miss Spock.
But he was going to die for it.
But his honesty towards you is going to cost him his life.
Right.
Marlena is a pragmatist. She's looking at the world as it is and not how you
Well,
would hope it to be.
She knows Kirk. She's automatically expecting Kirk to smoke Spock.
I really like the way that she played her character.
Yes.
And I really like that character a lot.
I wish-
Not just for the obvious reasons. I think she's stunning. I think that she's smart. I think that she's
That's what's so captivating about her. She's not just a pretty face in the episode. She's a pretty woman who is smart and can carry her own weight. And from the way the episode is written, the ISS Kirk trusts her
Absolutely.
a lot, because we're just about the point of getting into the Tantalus field and what it is. Because she makes the comment that Spock is going to die for his honesty to you.
right.
Right.
And then they move over to the Tantalus field, and she says, "I dislike this thing,"
Oh, she said, yeah.
Yeah.
and she opens it up.
Yeah.
She
And then-
knows how it works.
And she knows how it works because she's Kirk's backup.
Yeah. But to both your points, as we get into that, I would have liked to have seen this character continue.
Yes,
I would
most
have
definitely.
Even back in the regular universe, I would have liked to have seen this character
Most definitely.
continue.
I would have loved to seen the Marlena character fleshed out in the original universe.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But there's so much chemistry here
Yes.
that you would have a problem with way Kirk is written in the original universe. He loves his crew, but he loves his ship more than anything.
Right.
Well, she's got these lines, right? And she says, I hate this thing. She goes, how many people have you basically killed with it? 50 or 100?
Yeah.
And she knows it's a high amount. And she goes, I always thought it was funny that the great Captain Kirk owes his success to this alien technology. In other words, to his face, what she's saying is this: everybody thinks that you're
this cunning,
ungodly, cunning,
dangerous
powerful,
man.
that, and really, you know what? You're a punk with a gun. And when somebody finds this, they're going to use it on you, and that's going to be the end of
You
it.
got this,
and
man.
she's not saying it spitefully. The way that she was played and the way that
the actress delivers it.
is sort of like I thought it was funny it was irony. It's not like she thought it was funny that it was,
It's ironical.
yeah. And Kirk comes back because he still doesn't understand it fully. And he goes, well, if you don't take advantage of your opportunities.
Right.
Well, and this is and I was thinking about a whole bunch of different episodes where they find alien technology
Yeah.
that they leave or bury because it's too dangerous
And this Kirk went, hey.
for the overall society. What little girls are made of. You can create an android body and drop yourself into it.
Right.
You can create duplicates of yourself and send them out there into the universe. There's a lot of technology that's out there that the original Enterprise and Kirk does not take advantage of for his own self. And he totally separates it, quarantines the planet or whatever, to keep other people from having it.
I think the
Destroys it.
thing with the Tantalus field, when I first watched it, I just thought it was just this thing that is like a transporter to nowhere. But I think the field itself is surrounding the whole ship, and he can see anything, anywhere, at any time. Like that's the real alien technology.
I don't think it's limited to the ship.
Oh,
I think it is.
I don't think so, because that means he
Or
would have to.
it has to have a certain range.
That how do you know? It's not tied into the engineering circuits, or they would see the draw.
yeah.
How do you know?
There's got to be limits to its range.
This is a Squire
alien-
Gothos device.
Yeah, there's alien technology. We don't know. You're absolutely right. It's a Squire Gothos technology, something similar to that. We don't know how it functions. I don't think it's tied into the engineering, or they would see the draw.
Right.
You're phasering people across the ship without phasers, without phase emitters. It's not a transporter. They would pick it up and that something's happening.
You would be able to trace it back.
I think they're disintegrated.
I think the field itself, I don't disagree. I don't know how far the field could extend, but I think it's the field itself, and then within the field, he can see whatever he wants to, and then he can manipulate that matter in a way that doesn't leave any kind of energy trace that can be residue that can be brought back to his location.
So it's a fantastic. I mean, it's a super powerful device that he has access to, but he's clued his girlfriend in on it. So the connection between him and her has to be really, really secure.
He trusts her. Absolutely trust her.
That's what I'm talking about. Absolute trust. Absolute trust. Because she's got access to a device that she could wipe out anybody she wants to.
Including him.
And the first person...
Well, we don't know that. So I don't know what he has on him. But I would think part of the technology that I would want would be that the Tantalus field couldn't work on me.
Well,
that's a big stretch. You don't see anything that tells you.
Well, he's acting like it. He's not worried about it.
Remember, he
ain't worried about the Tantalus field.
This is not the original Kirk. We're looking at our Kirk. We're not looking at ISS Kirk. For him to let, I guess that would have to be the supposition.
It's like leaving a gun in your bedroom with somebody who's been trained to use it in order for their ambition. It doesn't make sense that he would trust her with that. It seems like somehow he can let the Tantalus field know that he can't be, well, although he is observed, right? Because she does watch him walking down the hallway.
She watches him for the
I guess
second
it
half
does.
of the episode.
I guess I can't push back on that. It has to be that he's got this absolute trust in her, which seems strange in that universe.
It does seem strange in that universe, but what she plays out throughout the episode is total devotion to him.
Yeah, the role she played, she's 100% in his corner. She's linked herself to him, and she's on board. She's backing him 100%, and he seems to know it, which is what you can infer is why he's trusted her with all this information.
And his other people, what he says to the ISS Enterprise captain Kirk says to the original Spock, what do I need? What do you want, Spock?
I can get it for you.
I can get it for you. I think the ISS Enterprise Kirk takes care of his people very well.
Oh yeah, he would.
Wherein that there's no chance. They already know Kirk's a big bad boy, and guys disappear. I don't think they question whether or not they're going to betray him. I think he takes care of his guys very well.
Yeah, none of his people betray him. There's other people on the crew who are working against him, but his direct people do not betray him.
Once again, Chekhov only took that chance because what?
He showed weakness.
He disobeyed, not showing what he disobeyed a rule.
Same thing.
And then maybe I can bump him off and move up because you're a disobedient captain.
Do you think, and we talked a little bit about this earlier, do you think Pike did something and Kirk took his move?
I think so.
And he stayed between those lines of...
I think so.
Okay.
I think Kirk made his opportunity. I don't know if Pike did anything wrong or not. I think Kirk's just that...
Well, it would be really hard for him to build that following if he was the kind of guy that just did something like that. Because what's keeping her loyal to him?
That's the problem you find in most movie villains. They do things that are super villainous, and you wonder... This guy wouldn't last long. The first opportunity one of his guys would get, they would bump him off.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, when they're just completely out of control.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's
cruel.
It's the awful part of what you see now. I'm not going to pick on it. It was just some Bond film. A recent one. A beautiful woman, and they go to the island, and the villain stands her up and shoots her. And there's like 5 henchmen standing behind him. I would have shot the guy in the back of the head. Because I'm like, if you're going to waste your girlfriend, just to make a point, what am I? I'm a hired gun. Your head is coming off. As soon as he pulled the trigger with her, I would have blown his head off.
That is absolutely true. If the one closest to you is dirt,
done.
Who am I?
Nothing.
You'll sacrifice me in a minute.
Absolutely.
Of course.
100%.
So the ISS Enterprise captain has a cadre of loyal people. He can't be as monstrous as he appears to be on the original Enterprise.
Well, he's aggressive and ruthless. That doesn't mean he's disloyal to the people who are loyal
He's
to him.
aggressive and ruthless because his universe requires it.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's a follower of the rules of his universe.
Right.
He's not going to try to bump you off just to move up if there's not a justification for it.
And that's kind of what I was alluding to earlier. Like, he's an exemplary guy even in this universe.
So my point is, I don't
It's
think
just what that means.
I don't think he just went out of his way to bump off Pike. I think Pike made a mistake, or maybe Pike was hurt, burnt, and they said, "Well, Pike's got to go," and it's
Well, he did. They did say the assassination.
He assassinated Pike.
so he was given an order to.
Well, they don't say that, but
I
it's public
think-
record that he assassinated
I think
Pike.
I think to follow. I agree. I agree 100%.
With who? Daystrum or Richard?
Well, I think you guys. I thought you were saying the same thing.
We differ slightly. I think you're agreeing with Mark.
Yeah, I think he was ordered to assassinate him, and he did it.
Phaser yourself, Richard. Push the button.
I don't know which button it is.
We're invincible.
Ha
Look what we've done. Your mighty starship.
And you don't know what button it is either. Nope.
Time to pray, Captain.
Yeah, Captain Daystrom. How about? Oops.
Red alert.
Audio Arthur is.
Yeah,
There we go. There we go.
See what happens. See what happens when Audio Arthur leaves the ship.
All right.
He's in the turbo lift 5.
So, he's dealing with Marlena, and the truth of the power of Captain Kirk in ISS in the mirror universe becomes known unto the audience because she makes known the Tantalus field.
Yes.
And the thought is, because Spock had called in and said, "I've been given orders to get rid of you," that Spock needs to go. So she opens the Tantalus field, she zooms in on Spock, and she goes, "What a wonderful mind. It's a shame that he has to die."
Yes.
And just at the push of a button, he's gone, and Kirk grabs her arm. And Kirk closes the Tantalus field. And Marlena gives the logic of that universe. It doesn't matter.
He has to go.
If you
He's a threat.
don't kill Spock,
Spock will kill you.
and if
Someone will kill Spock.
Spock will die anyway because he didn't fulfill his order.
Right.
He did not kill you. And it's just like the Hulkins. You can pretend to try to protect them, but another ship is going to come, and the Hulkins are going to get blasted off the planet.
And what she's thinking with him is that she trusts that he has this plan that's going to make him a Caesar, and he's doing it. So she's like, well, if he doesn't kill you, and he's like, well, I'm just going to get out of his way. And then she's like, well, he has to die because he hasn't done what he's supposed to do. So she knows.
And then Kirk rolls with it even further and goes, well, I'm not going to let that happen either.
Yeah.
And then she starts to summate that he's moving to be
Yeah,
greater than the
right.
Federation Council.
That's when she moves to, you really got all that figured out? You're going
Right.
that far?
Right.
Which was all smoke and mirrors.
Right.
But she's totally loyal
To him.
to IS Enterprises Kirk.
To the mirror Kirk. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting. We there's so much time you could spend here. But the Marlena character is a beautiful character. I like the character, although Uhura is still my number one.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely take Marlena if I couldn't have Uhura.
There's not too many ancillary characters that come across the show that really stick out like Marlena did. I actually wouldn't have minded a second female lead on the show and Marlena being a consistent member of the crew, but it would have been problematic as to what her relationship with Kirk
Oh,
would have
I
been.
got one. I got one for you. So whose crew do you want to serve under with? Now, so in the ISS universe, Uhura would have her crew and Marlena would have her crew. So which one of those two would you want to work for?
Marlena, still.
Marlena is attached to the captain directly.
Right.
I would be the helper of the captain's wife.
Marlena comes off as being cunning enough where I imagine she's got a set of resources on her
Well,
own.
she says Commander Keno or something like that would take her.
Yeah.
So she's already have connections.
Yeah.
Right.
There's
Yeah,
people.
she's got her crew.
I found that line interesting in the context of, can you imagine if she said that to Mira Kirk? Hey, there's a guy on your ship. There's a guy on your ship who's been eyeing me, and he's openly letting me know.
No, I think that's something the writers threw in there. I don't think they thought it through.
But just thinking it through.
She would never leave. If she left,
No,
the
but
original, the ISS Captain Kirk,
No,
she
but-
would be Tantalus.
not necessarily.
Oh yes, she would. You can't let her leave and knowing the secret.
Just in the context of what she said, she's talking to Mira Kirk, and she said, and she thinks he's dumping her because that was when it was said.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, Commander so-and-so will take me, but I really want to get off the ship because I'm humiliated. You're leaving me, so on and so forth. Just imagining what's going to happen to that commander
I think they're both Tantalists.
when Kirk hears that.
I agree with Captain Mark there. Like, I think you give her the impression that she's leaving. You give her a couple of those days to be that loyal, but because of that, what the Tantalus field is for you, she has to go.
Yeah, she can't leave knowing the secret. She cannot leave knowing the secret because that's a chip in your armor. All you got to do is prevent you from getting back to your cabin. She's got to go.
Yeah.
Logically, she's got to go. And I don't think the writers thought that through when they made that statement.
But also too,
because
just because, and I think to your point is that Commander Kenning or whatever his name is, with her naming him, he's my next guy to go.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't know what she's
But
already told him.
What I'm actually playing out in my head when I say that is she thinks he's dumping her because the way it plays out, she thinks you're dumping me, and he's like, I'm not.
I don't think it's a dump. You know what I think it is? I think it's just this is over.
Yeah, well, same thing.
Well, I don't know. I think a dump is
because she says I'm humiliated. I got to get off this ship and find better places to go, and so on and so forth. But if let's say it's the Mira Kirk and it plays out the same way, he's not really getting rid of her. She's mistaken because that's how it ends up ending up.
I guess to me, a dump was always, I think about high school. It's like 1 minute you're going out and the next minute you're with somebody else.
A breakup, but I break up.
This is she starts giving him a laundry list. Maybe this is why. Maybe this is what went wrong with us. Maybe this is why things are that they are. And then when they kiss, she's like, "You haven't kissed me this way in a long time." It's like
the upshot of it. What I was thinking about was this: she thinks it's over. It's really not, because that's where they end up, or what Kirk leads her to believe. But she's talking to Mira Kirk, and it's not over. Kirk still wants her, but now she's mentioned this commander.
she's talking to the original Kirk, not Mira Kirk.
But you know what's interesting?
But I'm saying, what if she was talking to Mira Kirk?
What's interesting is
that commander's toast.
She'd be she and that commander she mentioned would be Tantalus.
I don't think she would because it wasn't an actual breakup.
She figures it out, but through the Tantalus.
Oh yeah, because she watches him. Yeah.
And she's like, "Take me with you."
Yeah, she's like, "You're nicer than the other one. Take me with you."
Yeah.
So where do we go from him talking to?
Well, you have the scene where Spock is in his quarters, having given Kirk the warning. He's in his quarters and he extrapolates that this subspace incident could have.
Well, no. He sees a lot of computer activity in engineering.
Yeah, there it is.
And he asked the computer what's going on. And he said there's some computer research going on by who. The Kirk and Scott what's the nature of it? And he says, it's classified. It's classified. It's voice imprinted or whatever it is. And then he's sitting there and he sees this red light flash, and then he just clicks on it. But he says, Mr. Sulu, why are you monitoring
my computer
communications? And he's like, I noticed some computer activity.
Heavy computer activity.
Yeah. And then Sulu's like, look,
It's easy to figure out the orders you receive from from Starfleet.
Yeah, and he's like, I hope you make it.
Yeah.
Well, he's like, let's do this together. It doesn't need to be as messy as it needs to be. Let's do this together.
Right, because Kirk's enemies have
a way of disappearing.
And Spock was like, look, I don't want to be the captain, but if I am going to be the captain and you think you're going to kill me, just remember, my operatives will avenge my death, and some of them are Vulcans.
That's the best line in the episode.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but I can only imagine what a Vulcan could do to you.
They'll torture you. Mind meld torture.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
there's that.
the mind melt
There's
torture.
that, and not to mention just being torn apart.
No.
They're
see,
so much stronger.
No, this is mirror universe. Killing you is too easy. That's why there's an ag booth.
Oh no, a Vulcan could make it very painful
Well,
if they took their
yeah.
time.
Did you
with
guys
it.
ever see Enterprise?
Yeah,
Wasn't there a thing with who's the female Vulcan in there? T'Pau. I love T'Pau.
Yeah, the Paul's.
But didn't they treat the mind meld sort of Vulcan power originally as like a socially transmitted disease?
That
Like
was
she was infected somehow?
that was in another Enterprise, and something had happened to her.
that was when she got sick.
Yeah, she got sick.
But I thought it was from mind melding and whatever. Anyways, it's to support the point that a mind meld isn't a benign process.
No, it isn't.
And it could probably use to really cause some damage.
Right. It's very invasive.
Well, wasn't it in what was it, Undiscovered Country, where Kim Cattrall and Spock is trying to get information out of her, and he's forcing her to tell what's going on, and at one point she's like, oh, and she's screaming.
It was Undiscovered Country where he forced her to confess.
Unfortunately, it is like
Lieutenant Valeris.
It's like mine are. So I'm gonna leave it there. It can be very. It doesn't have to be necessarily pleasant.
That's
it
right.
can be forced. It
So
can definitely, they've shown examples
when
of
Spock
it.
threatens Sulu that some of my agents are Vulcans, it goes beyond just physical pain or physical torment.
Yeah.
They can torment your mind.
There's a lot of
If the
things on the table.
If the ag booth is an everyday thing to get Sulu to just kind of like shut that channel off, he's got to be thinking it's much more than that.
Right. You probably think I don't want any dealings with Vulcans on top of them physically being able to beat the taste out of your mouth.
Yeah.
They can mess with your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They can invade your mind and make you do something stupid.
Or they can probably just break your mind. They can probably just leave you
Right.
Vegetable.
vegetable.
Yep. Or in a constant state of fear or terror or something. It's just awful.
So after the reveal of Marlena.
Yeah. So things are kind of coming together. Marlena has filled in a lot of exposition. We've seen the Tantalus field. Spock has given Kirk the heads up that his death is inevitable, and Sulu's making his play.
I wouldn't say it's exposition because we actually see. She
Well,
just didn't dump information.
It's the information the writers are providing us through her. She gives us a lot of information.
She gives us a lot of
Yes,
information.
she does.
Okay.
Yeah, she does. But the way that it's done,
Yes.
we're learning it, and Kirk isn't like, once again, Sir William is playing it in the way that he's got to pretend that he knows this, but he's also got to transmit to the audience that he's still learning it. It's that fine line.
The reason I say it's not just exposition, it's not just an information dump, because they show us the Tantalus field. We watch Spock in the Tantalus viewer, and we see Kirk respond, and we're getting the information while we're watching it. Yes, they're telling us, but it's not just telling us of two people just standing there facing each other. We get to see the device, and we're told what the device is used for. But after that, we move towards what's next? What's next after?
She oils her traps.
No, the conversation between Sulu
and Spock.
and Spock.
Yeah, we covered
Which
that.
we've already went through.
So
Right. So the stage is set. I mean, we kind of have our characters. Our heroes are trying to carry forth this escape plan. Marlene is trying to figure out her place in the world, and Spock and Sulu are both gunning for the captain.
So after Spock and Sulu, we go back to Kirk's office, his room, and Marlena comes out with a change of clothes, trying to complete the seduction or get her man back in camp.
Right. Trying to make sure her position is still secure.
And is this the scene where she goes off, am I still the captain's woman?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that whole conversation. This is what we were talking. This is what we were talking about when she said, "Am I still a captain's woman? Wasn't
there a point where they said you got 10 minutes? No, yeah, she goes away or something, and
that's after he leaves.
Yeah, no, but he finds out he's only got 10 minutes or 15 minutes. He's got to leave.
Well, that's when Scotty's going to contact.
While they're having this conversation, Scotty conversation, she's trying to get Kirk all in.
She's trying to make sure her position is still secure.
Back to the relationship they had before. And he pulls away, and then she goes, well, Captain Ken or Commander Kenner will take me. That whole conversation starts at this point.
Right. She thinks it's over because he's not interested.
Right. So we've already.
He seems not to be.
We've already covered that. And he smooths that over and tells her that you're the captain's woman till the captain says so.
Well, she says to him, she goes, you feeling sorry for me? And she's like, you're a stranger. Pity to me, mercy to Spock, mercy to the Hulkins. Like she's figuring it out,
Right. There's something off about you. What's going on?
Yeah. And then she's, she has some of those
so
lines.
We've already had this conversation of her being Tantalus, of what would happen after he kisses her and smooths everything over with her.
Well, yeah, I think what he does is he gets her to the point where he says he's not going to lie to her, but he doesn't need to tell her the whole truth. And he just basically says, you're the captain's woman until he says that you're not. So
he smooths everything over with her, and he gets a call.
And of course, it's the wake-up call. Like we said, it's the wake-up call for her. She's sure there's something going on now. It's beyond what she originally thought.
So he leaves to go meet with Scotty, and she's watching him on the Tantalus field.
She begins to watch him, yes.
He tried to soothe her fears, but it didn't look like he did it.
I don't think it's so much that she wasn't convinced. She was confused.
She was confused.
She's like, who is this guy?
Yep.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He tried to soothe her fears that he is James T., which he is, but not her James T.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she wasn't convinced because as she leaves his room, she does like any woman does and turns on the Tantalus field to watch him.
Well, even before that.
She's watching her man.
Even
some things don't look right.
Even before that,
I don't know where he's going.
I know where you're going.
Even before that, she tells him,
Well, we had talked about that. We had said, did Kirk make sure that the Tantalus field could either not monitor him or not take him out? But it appears as though she could monitor him because she did, and therefore she probably could take him out.
Yeah, I don't think there's any safeguard against the Tantalus field. It just seems to be whoever's at the controls can.
And that's the point we talked about previously in part one, that he has to have a lot of trust of her.
Absolutely.
And this trust seems to be breaking down to a point. She's not sure about what's going on. She's in the dark, and he's not giving off the same vibes he's given off.
Oh yeah, she knows he's a different person. He's not the ruthless man she's used to dealing with. For sure. He's showing too much compassion.
Yeah.
He's showing too much compassion.
So he leaves his stateroom and he goes to the turbo lift and he calls Uhura and set and plan the protection against Sulu's
security board.
Yep.
Security board.
And they're looking at about 10 minutes to get out of Dodge. So, and then you have Scotty and engineer's mate McCoy. You got Scotty and engineer's mate McCoy.
And Scotty looks like he's doing a lot. It looks like he's watching Scotty do all the work, but
he's holding the flashlight. He's doing what engineer's mates do. In the Jeffries tube, pass me the screwdriver, hold the flashlight.
And then he's in the Jeffries tube. He puts the big round magnet on there, and then he sends a communicator signal to Uhura, and Uhura begins to make Sulu's afternoon.
No, he doesn't send it. I don't think he sends a communicator signal to Uhura. Kirk calls Uhura and tells her that they're proceeding with the plan, and she has to get on
distraction
of Sulu.
Right.
And then
Well,
they switch to Scotty in the Jeffrey's tube doing his maintenance.
we have opposing captain's views here. Let's see what's correct. Oh, Scotty's picking up a communicator.
Oh, I guess he
And
does.
Scotty makes the call.
I stand corrected.
Chalk
Oh,
one up.
that's all right.
Chalk one up for Palpatine.
You're still the best, man.
Okay.
Still number one.
Well, all right.
Number one on Men in Track.
I stand corrected. No one's perfect. 99.9%.
You mean you're not great?
I am great. Hit it.
You are great. I am great.
See, we're great together.
No, yes, we are great together.
So the great thing on the bridge scene is not Uhura's seduction of Sulu necessarily for me. It's looking at the red shirts by the turbo lift. These guys look like they're Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. They got their hands kind of like on their belt. They're like leaning against the wall. The phasers are like,
1960 something. The guy probably just got off of doing a job on
These guys are,
at Gunsmoke.
Gunsmoke.
Yeah,
He's one to stand on guys on Gunsmoke.
Well, it's that alternative universe, and these guys are just there to, they should just have mops and buckets at this point, but I guess.
Yeah, but Sulu don't care, man.
He's Sulu
busy.
don't care. Sulu don't care.
Sulu's ready to make it happen right there on the bridge, apparently.
And as soon as a little light flashes, and the Uhura's like, if I can get loose from this octopus.
I'm with Palpatine. I think my favorite thing about the whole sequence is the guard on the far left. The whole sequence, he's just
Chilling.
smirking and
He's
leering,
chilling.
and he's like, I can't wait to see how this comes out.
You guys can take those dudes. I'll take Uhura.
Well, just the whole fact that they're enjoying the fact that somebody might get killed on the bridge.
How can you look at other guys when Uhura's strutting on the bridge?
She's not strutting. She's threatening with a knife, which is very nice, and that's great. But that's threatening with the knife. But security guard on the left there is just really appreciating her, much like you are. And that's what's just so funny to me, because I never noticed it before. He's really just leering at her, and he's just like, oh yeah.
Well, then Sulu looks like he's going to go pursue her in the turbo lift, and those guys snap to attention.
Right.
So I was saying, I know Sulu's chief of security, but I think some of those guys are working for her.
Well, she did have one of them take over for her.
That's
And
right.
he followed her instructions,
Yep.
so
Yep.
there might be a little conflict there.
Okay.
You're gonna have to fight that guy. You're gonna have to fight security guard number 2 there, Daystrum. I think
I'm just saying, I'm not going to waste my time looking at some dude stiffs by the elevator when Uhura's acting.
well,
That's why we're
You
here.
can spend your time looking
That's
at
why
them,
we're here.
looking at the men if you want to.
I'm enjoying the things I haven't noticed before.
We're going to cover those areas that you can't for whatever reason. So
Yeah, if we were all focused on the same thing.
Okay.
How would that work?
Let's get back on topic.
Uhura goes in the turbo left, tells Mr. Scott that it's all clear, and she's on her way to sick bay.
Right.
And then they cut to Kirk is
the
in the
transporter
transporter.
room.
He's got one of the panels off, and that's where Spock walks in with phaser drawn, and they set to have a little bit of communication there, a little crucial conversation.
Yeah, Kirk says, I thought I had until dawn.
Spock says, I give you what I feel like giving you.
Yeah, I'll make that determination.
I'm in a spaceship. I can make dawn happen whenever I want.
It's dawn somewhere.
It's dawn somewhere over the planet.
So,
And if we're in a polar orbit, you just look left or look right. So
and you'd almost think at this point Spock's got enough to just go ahead and pull the trigger, but he really wants to know what's going on.
I think he wants to figure out.
he does.
He wants the completion of the puzzle.
Yes, he wants to know what's happening because he, as we discussed, he knows Kirk very well, and the Kirk he beamed up from the Hulkan planet is not the guy he knows.
Yeah, he's a pod person.
And
Well, I think the main thing is that he knows that his current situation is just totally untenable. He either's going to have to kill him or not, and if he doesn't kill him, he's going to be killed. He wants to fix this just as much as Kirk does, I believe.
Yeah. The simple fix is pull the trigger.
no, not for what
he-
Spock wants, because Spock's already told Kirk,
He doesn't want to be in
I don't
command.
want to be captain.
Now,
I need you to straighten up and be captain.
I know Vulcans can't lie, but I don't believe it.
I have a question for you guys. When Spock calls Kirk in the night and kind of breaks protocol and tells him that, they want to kill him, as Kirk, would you think you might tell him right then what's going on? And maybe that would have made things easier?
That's a risk.
You think?
Remember, Kirk doesn't quite know this Spock.
Right.
Right.
So, do you risk it?
It is a risk.
It's
definitely.
a risk.
But would you? Any of you?
I wouldn't. I would have probably.
It's a brutal universe.
I would have. I would have.
Something along the lines of like,
I would have.
I know
I would have said, Spock,
is.
come to my quarters, and then I would sit him down and I would tell him.
I would have not told him the truth. I would have spun some story about much like Marlena believed he had some big scheme going. I would have tried to lead Spock to believe, hey, I got something big going here. Work with me, and we're both going up.
No, I probably would have. It's interesting from audio. I think I would have. I probably would have told. When he said to me, "I'm breaking protocol,"
Yeah.
it seems like he's like, "I'll play ball with you if you want me to."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Maybe I'll retract my statement that I would have him come to my quarters. I would probably keep him on the Tanless field screen. And tell him.
Yeah.
And if he looks like he was going to do anything else but help me, then we'd be shy one Spock.
The
multi-universes.
safest thing is to keep him in the dark.
Yeah.
That's the safest.
Yeah.
Fair.
You're already in a tight situation. Do you really want to let the guy who's been given orders to execute you
Right.
Now,
off? Because know this, Spock will execute him. Spock's not going to let him just go down to the planet.
Mhm.
Spock's not going to give him a shuttle to get away. Spock will execute him.
Right.
now to Arthur's point, knowing how this turns out, taking the risk might have paid off, and things might have just moved faster.
Yeah,
Maybe,
you don't know that. That's
but it's a huge risk.
It's a hypothetical.
It's a huge risk.
Yeah.
It's a huge risk, but it may have gone that way.
That's not
Yeah.
the story the writers gave us.
No.
Yeah.
No.
But it's interesting. Side
Yeah,
note.
it is. So the next time, Arthur, you're in a parallel universe.
I'll give it a shot.
And you feel like blabbing your guts.
I'll see what Spock says.
Go right ahead.
Honesty is not the best policy in a parallel universe.
It's interesting because between the Kirk and Spock interchange here at the console, they cover a lot. And one of the things Spock says, I have the phaser, but I'm not going to simply disappear like so many of your enemies before did. And, Kirk doesn't really say anything, but he says, let's go to sick bay. Because he says, doesn't he say, he goes, Spock basically says, look, if you're not going to tell me what I want to know, I'll just beat it out of McCoy.
Spock says, I'm not going to waste time on you, Captain. You're too intractable. You're too stubborn. I know I won't break you.
Too disciplined.
Too disciplined. I know I won't break you, but McCoy will fold up like a house of cards, which is interesting there because that means the mirror universe McCoy, even though we've been shown he's a slob or whatever, that means he's basically the same guy, which is kind of strange. Wouldn't he not be that guy? Wouldn't he not be kind of soft and gushy on the inside in the mirror universe? It's just interesting.
Do you think he really was in the? I mean, I have to be careful.
No,
I was going to say for a physician.
No,
but
McCoy.
I have to be real careful. But what I would say is remember the episode The Empath?
Yes.
So it's McCoy has like 100% chance he's going to be dead, and Spock would be whatever.
Brain dead.
Yeah, they'd have to pick those two. And McCoy's kind of hanging there by his arms, and he's just like, just get on with it. Like,
yeah, but McCoy shot Spock in the arm or in the back with a tranquilizer and put Spock down, and McCoy took the brunt.
But what I'm saying is, in their original universe, McCoy's a lot tougher, mentally.
Yeah, because he's the one that will question everybody's actions.
Right.
He questions Kirk's actions. He's questioned Spock's actions.
Mm-hmm.
So McCoy's not soft.
True. So
he's more sentimental.
He's compassionate. He's very
more
compassionate. And he wants to do the right thing, and he'd prefer there be no violence. But you raise a good point. So Mirror Universe McCoy is just a wishy-washy, sniveling kind of dude.
He's like Worm Tongue, I think.
Yeah, he's a sniveling kind of probably underhanded
right
guy that you wouldn't turn your back on, but he's probably a total coward.
For those
Yeah.
of you who
Yeah.
don't know whom Wormtongue is, he's a character from Lord of the Rings.
And if you're listening to Men on Trek and a fan of the old series, and there's no parallel knowledge with Lord of the Rings, I'll be surprised. But I guess it could happen.
I would too, but we're still glad you found your way here, and you can hit like and subscribe. And you
Absolutely.
can stay.
And thank you, Captain Daystrum, for making them feel welcome, because that's important.
Yes.
It is.
I want
So now we cut to the
I
sick
want them
bay.
to know.
We cut to the sick bay, and Scotty, Uhura, and McCoy are all there waiting, and Kirk and Spock show up. Spock phaser pulled.
Audio Arthur, play the music.
The fight music? we don't have fight music.
What? No fight music?
No fight music.
Oh, you're fired.
Fight music.
Look at all this stuff, man.
Fight
It's
music.
a lot of work. I was,
Fight music comes on Tuesday.
I was helping Captain Daystrum pilot some ships prior to this, so
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm a
yeah.
little busy.
You're lucky we
Yeah.
even got him in
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, Captain Daystrom was moonlighting with another Navy.
Yeah, we would plug that game, but we don't want to get in trouble.
For shame.
Yeah.
So the great fight scene, which Star Trek has to have,
Yep.
Yes, there must be a beating.
ensues as Spock frog marches Kirk into the medical sick bay.
As Kirk walks in with that look on his face, like, "Oh, he got me."
But Kirk throws the first punch, and then they all try to commence to beat down Spock.
Yeah, who pointed out the smirk on Kirk's face before he makes his move?
I did. Yeah, he goes in. He's just, here we go, another fight. He just spins around.
Here's another fight we're probably going to lose.
Watch him. You can see in his face. He'll just.
Everybody.
Did you see him sniff? There we go.
Yeah, everybody versus. It's like everybody versus Spock, the thing we never wanted to do. And so
and he commences in throwing them around like
Did you
rag
see the
dolls.
body double for Uhura?
yeah, very briefly.
Yeah, go back and look at the
Really?
body
There's
double.
body double?
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
see.
very
Yeah,
briefly.
it's a stunt woman.
Wow.
Everybody is at different points in the fight.
Yeah.
I did not know
Spock's does not blend well when they cut away, even with the long
Look.
shot. Yeah.
See?
Oh, look at those.
That's a body double there. Wait, it's even wait, you let it run a little bit.
And Spock's with the body double is
So
terrible.
Spock's body double's there.
Spock's body double is terrible.
Yeah.
He sticks out like a sore thumb.
All of them.
Yeah, what?
Oh my goodness.
Okay, that is Uhura there, Michelle Nichols.
It feels like the only part where you would need a body double. Why do you need a double for the other part?
Yeah.
They were so skittish back then about actors getting injured that
Well,
they.
you know what happened? What was it? Was it on Wagon Train or something like that? Harrison Ford was on
a Western show.
was on a Western. He drops his gun. It hits the floor, bounces up, and knocks his front teeth out.
Oh, I didn't hear. I never heard that
Yeah,
story.
and then he had fake teeth. That's the story I thought I remembered. He had fake teeth, and then he's got you know the cut on his chin. And remember in when River Phoenix played him in Indiana Jones, and
Young Indiana Jones, yes.
and he hits with the whip
Yeah,
for the first time, and the whip comes back and cuts his chin.
so they could explain where that came from.
Spielberg put that in there to explain that, but that was from he was falling against a wall and he dropped his gun, and the prop gun hit the floor, came up, hit him there, but knocked out his bottom teeth.
Wow.
So they didn't let them do anything. So I think that's Kirk with that one. I think
That
that's,
was actually Kirk.
I think that's Sir William.
I think it is until he puts his hands on the bed. And I think when he actually makes the jump, it's not him.
Yeah.
Well, what we're talking about is Kirk jumps over
Yeah.
the bed, using it as a sawhorse to plant 2 feet into Spock's chest,
Good old fashioned double kick.
which doesn't do anything to Spock, but this fight scene is really fantastic.
I
Yeah.
kept,
Yeah,
I
this
kept,
is really good.
I kept thinking, I just kept thinking like the way they've always rated Spock's strength or talked about Spock's strength.
Oh, they shouldn't have left.
Some of those hits should have been, your hit.
I don't think
you're
he was.
down.
I don't think he was full out though. He's just trying to control this.
You think so?
Oh yeah, it'd be like Joe Rogan, fighting a 12-year-old.
I-
Like he's just gonna. He's
Just
not gonna
let it-
kick
just-
him and kill him. He's just gonna
let
knock
it
him
play.
around.
I don't want to see these body doubles are terrible. And now that I know Uhura's body doubles in there, I'm sad.
Don't be sad.
A headbutt from Kirk, man, that's classic. And then that's when you really start to see, Spock is getting a little upset now.
Yeah, but that double overhand fist the Spock delivers. I'm thinking
Yeah.
I'm thinking Kirk should have not gotten up from that one, but
Well, that was the thing they always that I didn't really like about the new Star Trek is that Kirk was always getting beat up. You know the Chris Pine.
The rebooted Star Trek. Yeah.
Yeah, the
okay.
reboot. Like he's always getting beat
Yeah, but he's
severely.
Yeah, but in the reboot, he's fighting multiple guys.
Yeah, he's always in over his head. He never gets a one-on-one fight or anything like
Yeah.
that.
So Uhura gives him some unknown skull. We think it's the Gorn skull.
It would be nice.
We like
Big
it to be
Gorn
the
skull.
Gorn skull, yeah.
And
nice.
cracks it over Spock's head. Spock goes down, and now McCoy is worried that they have somehow almost killed him.
Mortally wounded Spock.
Mortally wounded him.
And Marlena is watching the whole thing.
On the Tantalus field.
On closed circuit assassination TV.
That's right.
The
Ready?
Tantalus field.
Ready to tantalize the entire field in which they're standing.
Removing.
Spock does, McCoy does his, Jim, he's going to die. I need to save him. And I thought it was interesting. And this is just nothing, but it was interesting for me. When Scotty says to McCoy, he goes, "Come on, McCoy," and I was like, oh, they're both Scottish. I never really realized that.
Come on, McCoy. We're not, how does he say, we're barely going to get home or something?
Yeah,
we got to get out of here.
We're not going to get home. But McCoy is a Scottish name.
It is.
And Scotty's Scottish. And at that moment, it just looked like he was yelling
Clicks.
at a fellow Scotsman to get going.
You want him to do a little take the high road and he'll take the low road?
That's right. Yeah.
I'll get to the transporter before you.
But I like Sulu comes in bold, man. This
3 guys? 4 guys? He's
Three
packing
guys.
3 guys.
Three
3 guys.
3 guys.
so
Red
this,
shirt party.
the alternate reality Sulu is cold. He comes in and he's ready to
He's a smart guy. He's got plans.
he's ready to move up.
He is.
I'm not waiting to the
Nope. There's
this Sulu's not waiting to the movies to get a ship.
no, he's not.
he wants his ship quick.
He's going to be the first captain of the Excelsior. He's not going to get
Well, what he says is Spock's been given orders to
To
kill
kill you.
and he's going to succeed, but you're going to kill him, and I get to move up.
You say it's a shame, but I become captain of the Enterprise.
Yep. And his logic is correct.
Sound. He's
Yep.
good.
Yep.
I like him. He's got a plan. He knows what he's up to.
Except he doesn't know.
He doesn't know.
He doesn't know the Tantalus field is there.
Yep.
He doesn't.
I wonder if he's thinking that I get a horror too.
He finds out quickly.
I did think like had this worked out, Uhura was probably going to suffer. She's probably going to suffer quite a bit after Kirk and Spock were gone and Sulu was running things. But Marlena is demonstrating 1967 cleaning technology. She's cleaning the whole room at the push of a button.
You know what? It's interesting. I don't know if
loyalty.
you noticed that as well. So where the guards were standing, there was debris on the floor.
Yes.
When she vaporizes them, that part
Yes.
of the floor is clean.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So she tantalizes the 3 guards, leaves Sulu alone, and Sulu tries to take on Kirk. That's a 2-hit.
yeah.
There's a wrist chop, karate chop to the neck.
And Kirk doesn't respect.
Oh no, he yanks him over and
Yeah.
it hits him.
Yeah, he gives it to him.
Do you think that might be the beginning of that contentious relationship between those 2 individuals in real life? Sir William and
Maybe
Mr. Takai.
maybe an expression of it.
Oh my. Look
Now-
at that. That's,
Kirk.
yeah.
What I noted about that is Kirk does not respect Sulu's skills. He walks right up to the knife.
Yeah.
And he's like, "I got you, Sulu. I can handle you. You're not Spock."
Well, he used one of the beds too. Kind of as a,
Yeah, he's like, "I got you, Sulu."
And Scotty goes on, says, "We got to go. We got 5 minutes."
Right.
And McCoy's monkeying around with alternate reality Spock.
He's
What were
showing.
you
He's
saying?
showing mercy.
you were saying last week, not my Spock, not my problem.
That's
What was
right.
your line?
That's right. Not my Spock, not my problem.
That's right.
That's what Scotty's probably thinking. Hey, this is not our Spock, not our problem.
But-
We're going to leave here. We're not even going to give this place a second thought.
This is a classic example of what you're supposed to do in an emergency room when you wake somebody up. So we used to have patients who came in that were overdoses with heroin, and you would give them a drug called Narcan, and they would wake up, but they wouldn't know where they were. So you would put them in restraints first while they were unconscious, and then you gave them the Narcan, so when they woke up, they didn't do what Spock does to McCoy here, which is that McCoy doesn't blink for the next minute and a half because Spock mind melds him
Yes, melds him.
very aggressively
Yes, and against his will.
against his will
It's very
without consent.
A progressive, evasive mind probe.
Invasive.
invasive. Yes.
Invasive.
Invasive.
That's what I meant.
Involuntary.
So McCoy hypos Spock. Spock wakes up and immediately goes for the mind meld. And if you watch it,
DeForest Kelly.
doesn't blink
All right.
for probably, I don't know, 45 seconds or something the whole time that
good
he's
minute.
doing that.
It's
Yeah.
a good minute. And the whole watching it again, the scene kind of took me back to the old Dracula movies. It's like as soon as Spock locks eyes with him,
Oh yeah,
he's got him mesmerized.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
He's got him mesmerized.
well, when you look at it, and he comes up off the table.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's
He's
immediate.
already got him.
It
Yeah.
reminds you of a
Dracula,
movie.
yeah.
In
it's,
role
it's that
play-
It's that Bela Lugosi.
In role play, what would that power be?
Could be mind control, or it could be an intimidation role.
No,
Enchantment?
psionics, in
Well,
Dungeons
Psionics.
and Dragons.
It,
Psionics.
it could even be an intimidation role on your charisma, right?
No,
No?
No.
I think he already. I think he jumped.
Think
right
you're
to
already
the
in his
mind.
head,
I think
yeah.
he jumped right to the mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's rough.
It's going to happen.
And and again, credit to McCoy. He makes it look really unpleasant. He is not looking. It looks like it's not a good thing.
Yeah,
It's painful.
DeForest Kelly does a good job.
Well,
here.
in another scene that's coming up really quickly, Spock walks in with
McCoy.
McCoy, and McCoy looks like he want to lay down.
Yeah, McCoy.
He don't look good.
McCoy holds the trauma for the rest of the episode, pretty much.
Hey,
He just
hey,
shake that
hey,
off.
Doesn't matter what science fiction you're in. Alien probes are bad.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got probed.
Mine.
So they cut to the transporter, and
They make it to the transporter room, and Marlena's waiting for them.
Marlena, and she's like, "Take me with you."
Marlena's waiting for him with a Type 2 behind her back.
Yeah.
But she wants the kinder Kirk. She wants out of that universe.
I think she would have done okay if she came to the
Yeah.
alternate univer's. I think she would have done all right.
She would have made Admiral really fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
She would have made that. She's from the mirror universe. She's playing a different game. Wait. She would have made Admiral real fast.
Did you red alert him? Yeah. I didn't see that.
It's a matter of interpretation.
So Marlena says, "Take me with you," and Kirk says, "We can't. It's balanced for 4." She says, "There's only 3." He says, "There's one coming." She pulls out a phaser, and he's like, "If you kill us, you're still going to stay." And then Uhura does her duty.
Puts the smackdown on her.
It's a smackdown.
This fight was too short.
Yeah.
I just felt like Marlena should have been able to handle herself. And
I was saying that before until Captain Palpatine showed me the body double, and I'm okay with this one being short.
Amen.
well, I mean, I just felt like a little more.
Curse your eyes, Captain Palpatine. So
They're ready to go. They're getting ready. So Uhura gets the phaser away from
Marlena.
and then
Kirk comes in.
Kirk comes in.
Well, no, Kirk's already in.
No, he was
there,
already in
so-
there.
Scotty tells him how much time
Oh,
they
they
got
cut the
left,
power.
and
He
Scotty
says
tells him
they
they've cut the power.
Yeah.
But I find it interesting. I mean, Marlena's still a product of her universe. She wants out, and she's willing to sacrifice somebody to make it happen. She's like, well, one of you can stay behind as far as I'm concerned.
I might be willing to sacrifice somebody to take Marlena with me.
Would you let Scotty take that ride?
No. We've had that talk.
Scotty's crucial, yes.
Scotty's coming. I think McCoy gets a little note on the transporter. Sorry, waited as long as we could have. Good luck, Bones.
Yeah. Maybe Mr. Spock will show you some mercy since you helped him out. Good luck with that. Yeah.
But there's an interaction between Scotty and Kirk. They say, Kirk says, "Can you use auxiliary?" He says, "Yeah, but the automatic control's tied into it." if I do that, if I bridge it, somebody's got to
stay.
stay and manually run the controls. And then Scotty immediately says, I'll do it.
Yeah, he don't look convinced.
You know,
He don't look convinced in the statement he's making. I'm not buying it. Scotty
No,
wasn't gonna
but
stay
then-
no matter what.
But
That's one of those
Kirk,
things you say to make the other person
No.
feel better.
No, but Kirk says no. Get on the transporter, and Scotty, he doubles down. He says, "Jim, I can hack it. I can stay."
yeah.
I just picture Scotty stepping out in the hallway with a phaser in each hand and going down.
I ain't going out like that.
I just picture Scotty stepping to the hallway and taking as many crewmen with him as he could.
Or he would go a little commando, kind of stealth. He'd get down to engineering and then maybe blow up the ship or something.
But
Yeah.
Marlena, true to form, after Scotty goes to the pad, she runs up and says, "What about me? You ain't gonna leave this behind."
Where's the damage button?
The damage.
Oh no, she does.
She didn't
said,
say,
"What about me?"
You're going to leave this behind. She said, "What about me?" She didn't say, "You're going to leave this behind."
I'm inferring on what the statement means.
You mean as she made puppy eyes at him and talked about her brain, right? That's what you meant,
the
right?
whole package.
Yeah.
Can't
yeah.
separate a woman's looks from her brain.
No,
They're
no.
together. The brain is behind the looks.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
They're
Yes,
there.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna tell you I love you for your brain lying to you.
You do know it's 2020, right?
It's all together. So Spock comes in.
With McCoy, who looks like he just wants to lay down.
Yeah.
McCoy's like, "Can I
McCoy.
just lay down right
Traumatized
He's been
McCoy.
probed, man.
now?" He's been probed.
It's been probed badly.
Been probed bad. Deeply probed.
McCoy.
Yeah.
It wasn't a surface mind meld.
I still maintain that this should have harmed McCoy's relationship with Spock back in the real universe. McCoy should have looked at Spock after this.
Well, he does take some pretty serious jabs at him when they get
no,
back.
no. That was comical.
You're talking about he gets in the turbo lift and McCoy walks out now.
Yeah, McCoy. There should have been issues after this. McCoy should have been looking at Spock like, "Don't you get it? Stay away from me. Don't you touch me." Yeah, McCoy should have had issues after this.
So
Big reveal from Spock. He's like, "I know what's going on and I need my captain back. And I'm going to do some hepping.
right, I'm gonna help you
I'm
out.
going to get some hepping done."
Not because I'm a swell guy, because you're messing up my thing and it serves my purposes.
I got to get this back to the way it was.
Right. It was
Just-
working for me. It's not working for me now.
It ain't working for me now. So here comes some hepping.
I'm going to help you out of my life.
That's right. And then Kirk does, well, wait a minute. Spock says you get 2 minutes, 10
30
seconds.
seconds or so.
And Kirk's like, "In that time, I need a monologue.
Yeah, I need to preach. I need to preach to you, Spock.
I got a monologue."
I need to make it take even longer and get home by a slimmer margin
That's right.
so I can tell you something.
Yeah.
Oh, Shatner need to stretch out the runtime.
Sir William, please. Sir William.
Sir William needs
Sir
to
William.
stretch out
Sir
the
William.
runtime.
Sir William of wasting a minute and a half of my 2.5 minutes that I need to get home.
Because that field density, who knows?
Yeah.
So he starts his monologue, his lecture, about first asking the Hulken prediction of how long the Empire would survive, and Spock gives him roughly 200 years.
230 years
and
or
he
so.
says, well, think of the waste. I mean, this is illogical that you're partaking in this.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's amazing, in essence, that you are partaking in it. And they go through the whole thing of what needs to be done. And he says a man needs the power. And then as Kirk turns and looks at Marlena, he relates that in my cabin is a device that will grant you the power. And Spock's like, "Oh, okay.
Yeah, closed circuit assassination. Gotta love it.
Oh, well."
And then they get a great lighting shot on Kirk, close up profile, and he says, "In every, what does he say? In
Every revolution,
there's one man."
Man.
And what he meant to say was
One person.
one person. And
One very intelligent, attractive person.
Hold on. He didn't mean to say one person. Let's not go rewrite. Let's not go rewrite the story. That's the way the writers wrote it. It might not be politically
In
correct
every
on
revolution, there's
Yes.
one person with a vision. That's exactly what he doesn't say.
Person spelled M-A-N.
today. Right.
In every revolution, there's one person with a vision. And then Kirk says, Captain Kirk, I shall consider it. And then Kirk smiles and he's like, I'm dead.
Now let's look through this. A righteous Spock or a civilized Spock would not use a Tantalus field. So if Spock's going to use a Tantalus field, that means he's going to assassinate people. So would he really assassinate people to make things better, or would he assassinate people for himself to level up and leave things the way they are?
I think he
Logic.
would see it as both.
Yeah, logic would dictate that both the two things are connected.
Yeah.
I have to level up to make things better.
And if I level up, I ultimately will probably destroy this.
But
Isn't that your command
that's,
philosophy?
that's what every dictator thinks, though.
That's what most people think.
No, that's what that's what dictators do. They believe that if I become the power, I can make things better.
I disagree. Dictator sees power and they tell the people it's to make things better. I don't think they believe that. I think they just want to make sure they have power.
Okay.
I think. But
So after Kirk monologues, they transport.
but that Spock, yeah, people are going to be winking out all over the ship.
Did we talk about last time about the range of the Tantalus field? Did we
Yeah,
say
yeah.
We touched on what we believed it could be.
Okay.
I felt it was more limited. You guys thought it was more had a longer range.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you better hope Admiral Comac's not driving a bus full of kids when.
I don't think he'll care.
No, I think the kids in the bus would care when you all of a
No,
sudden
I
he's
don't
gone.
think. What I'm saying is, I don't think Spock would care.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't think so.
Logic would dictate that the needs of the Spock outweigh the needs of the kids in the mirror universe.
So,
In the mirror
so
universe.
they transport back and they see a clean-shaven Spock, and then the scene moves to the.
They
bridge.
started doing this thing at the ends, kind of that final
lighthearted-
thought. Yeah, they kind of
lighthearted
brought
finishes,
it together.
yeah.
I don't remember that much in season one. This is kind of a season 2 thing.
No,
They start in season one, but it
they-
becomes very consistent.
But it's interesting that that's the way the writers sort of kind of wrapped it up.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always that, kind of all's well that ends well.
Right.
So McCoy's in the back, still feeling the effects of the mind of the probe, and he makes a snappy comment like, "I like the Spock with the beard better." I wonder, is that because it was stuck in his mind?
Well, it was stuck in his mind. I personally felt like, maybe it's why McCoy's behind Kirk. I think after that, I'm sorry, McCoy's gonna need a minute. I don't think he wants to be in arm's reach of Spock after that.
He needs a therapy dog.
Yeah, he needs whoever's got the counselor gig on the Enterprise at this point in time.
That's him.
He's a trained psychiatrist, but there's got to be somebody else
I don't think
who shrinks to shrink.
Mm-hmm.
the gin he's drinking, or the Romulan ale. That's his medication.
Are you saying he's going to cure himself with unhealthy practices?
He's just going to cope. He's not going to cure himself.
He's going to cope.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna self-medicate.
And there's a witty repartee between them, and
Before you go to there, Spock has a comeback.
Oh, Spock roast him.
Because Kirk's saying it's amazing how easily the counterpart Spock fit into his universe.
He said he always thought Spock had a little pirate in him.
pirated him. Yeah.
Right. And Spock returns and said that I had an opportunity to watch you people closely.
You're opposite.
And
close.
he meant you people
He did.
as somebody.
He did mean you people.
Yes.
Right. Well, he meant you people as you humans. I had an opportunity to watch you and see how treacherous you are.
Captain Palpatine just lit up the board.
Yeah, I got smacked for that too. I shouldn't have.
How treacherous you are and all your human frailties, all the things that you do. And he said, I find it that they were the flower of humanity.
Yeah.
What, in all your barbarism?
Yes, he ran down a list of all their undesirable qualities.
And he said, I found it refreshing.
Yes.
And then Lieutenant Marlene.
Turbo lift
hold
open.
on. Kirk goes.
I think we've been insulted.
Yep. And
McCoy
McCoy
says, I'm sure.
Because I know I've been inside that head. I know what it is.
McCoy says, I'm sure, and he backs up a few steps.
And then Marlena comes off the turbo lift, and she's walking like a gangster.
Yeah.
Look at that attitude. She's
I don't think she's as opposite as you think, Jim. I think there's a little mirror in there.
You think so?
I think there's a knife in that bun. I think there's a knife in that hairdo.
What's funny?
Does look gangster.
What's funny is everybody on the bridge crew turns and looks who were on the landing
Look at this
party.
double take.
Well, my favorite is
style?
McCoy
McCoy.
spins.
McCoy, Scotty, and Uhura. The looks on their faces are fantastic, especially Uhura in the background. Michelle Nichols does this in a lot of episodes. She delivers so much from that background.
Yeah.
Uhura's looking at her like, it's her. Uhura's like, oh my.
I had to take a phaser from her. I might have to use it on her. I can't.
And then Kirk's face is like, ah.
Now, at first, he doesn't get it. I don't think at first he recognizes.
No, he's just like, whoa. Because she's looking at him like, is there a problem?
Right.
It's great. It's a great moment. It's a great moment. Just what everybody delivers right there is really good.
She's like, I was just assigned here last week. And he's like, all right, Lieutenant, carry on.
I never really noticed it, but in the original filming, they use a lot of hair prosthetics.
Yeah, everybody's wearing wigs. A lot of people wearing wigs. And, yeah.
Especially on the women, they got a lot of B in that bond.
I never questioned it when you're a kid, but you never once saw Leonard Nimoy's real hair. That's not his hair. No way. You never thought about it, but he's wearing a wig. I mean,
yeah. Well, they wear wigs on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
is your hair reality shattered?
Oh man.
Spock says, "Captain, do you know her or something?" What did he say? He said something along the lines like
recognition.
Yeah, look of recognition. He's like, no, she just seems to be a nice, likable girl.
Nice, likable girl. Maybe we could be.
He says, "I," and he stutters. He goes, "I think we could be friends."
It's really hilarious because after everybody's reaction. After everybody's reaction, I'm trying to kind of play innocent.
Yeah, there's a sexual harassment lawsuit in there.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah.
That's sincere admiration.
It's military, so it'd be fraternization.
Fraternization.
Because he pops up off the captain's chair and scoots his happy self.
I wonder if that's Commander what's-his-face in that chair. I never noticed that before. When she walked over there, she was talking to that guy.
Kenna.
Maybe that's Commander Kenna, the one that said that would take her in the alternate universe.
You think that's Kenna?
I don't know. I mean, they usually don't do things unless there's something behind them.
I think you're going deeper than they went, but if that is Kenna, he's not long for the ship. He's got a transfer coming. Or
he's going to be in an ion pod during a storm.
So that is the two-parter.
Yeah,
two-parter.
First two-parter.
Yeah.
And Mirror is such a beautiful episode.
Great
episode.
It is. Such a beautiful. And although
we're clowning our way
it's not politically correct by no means, and we're trying to avoid damage by.
I think we failed that this time around.
Mirror is just a beautiful episode.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
I don't think it could be written today.
Well,
not the way it's written here.
Well, actually, I mean, as far as that goes, to show you how enduring Mirror is, I mean, we said it previously. It's always in the top 10, even lands in the top 5 or 6 when they rate
of everybody's track.
And it has almost been remade in every version of
Star Trek.
Of Star Trek. So I know in Enterprise wasn't there a Mirror?
Yeah, that's where I was going. They went to the Mirror universe 5 times in DS9.
Wow.
2 times in Enterprise.
Wow.
And once in Discovery.
Who knew? I didn't know any of that.
A little research there.
Fabulous. That's why you're the Admiral.
I know. I got to stay up and do some work. It's terrible.
So you think about this one episode from the original series, and that the math is 9. Is it 9?
8.
8.
8 episodes that
episodes that were basically a copy.
And that's just in other series. If you go to comic books and novels and what have you, they revisit the Mirror universe quite a bit.
Wow.
So it's a very enduring thing. It's a very influential episode because I think everybody likes that
Alternate reality
where you get to be the bad person,
Right.
Or you get to see the.
What was it? One science fiction TV show where it was all about the Einstein-Rosen bridge, and they kept jumping from parallel Earths to parallel Earths.
Sliders.
Sliders. That's it. That's
Never saw it. Never saw it.
Yeah, the sliders.
It wasn't a bad show. They start running out of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they would.
And the guy who played Gimli was one of the main actors. And
He was the professor that was leading.
Davies.
Rhys Davies.
Yep.
He was the professor that was leading the kids around to these alternate universes. But
Well, there it is. First
Mirror.
two-parter.
First two-parters in the bag.
Yeah.
Mirror. Tell us what you all think of Mirror. I mean, if you're Star Trek fans, I'm figuring I'd be shocked if anybody doesn't like this episode. But if you don't, let us know.
And
Tell us why.
And a hint: do not slow-mo or clip scenes out of the fight scene
In the sick bay.
You're in the sick bay. It'll ruin your point of view. Don't do it.
We've been talking about how beautiful the 4K remaster is with the revised special effects. There are some downsides. The wigs, the makeup, it jumps out at you. There's some imperfection to be seen.
A lot of imperfection.
We go.
There's some imperfection to be seen.
No, we're warning
Hey, you want to
them.
give them a teaser? Want to give a teaser? Because our YouTube channel is up and running, right? We want
Right.
everybody to click like and
We are
subscribe,
live.
right? Comments and
Click
stuff.
like, click
Because
subscribe.
I think we're only 3,991 subscribers away from monetization.
Is that all?
That's all.
Oh, okay. We'll get that after this episode.
Yeah, yeah. But we're gonna start our Men on Trek look at the animated series.
Yeah, coming up.
Yeah.
Yep. And we will continue with the original series. I'm going to make a controversial statement. I consider the animated series an extension of the original series.
A lot of people do, yeah.
And I know a lot of people disagree, but I think the animated series is canon.
Okay. Oh, also too, coming out hopefully in the next week or two, of the first of the supplemental logs.
Yeah.
Men on Track.
Yep. Few little side steps there. Supplemental logs.
Kind of bite-sized podcasts.
Yeah.
Maybe 15 or 20 minutes.
I'm going to make a statement. I have never watched the animated series all the way through.
Wow.
I
Never
don't.
watched it.
I know I have,
Never
but
watched it.
I know I have, but I was like nursery school.
I
or
caught a little
elementary
episode
school.
here.
I don't know
I
if
never
I've
watched the
ever
whole
seen. I don't know if I've ever seen an entire episode. I don't know if I've watched one episode.
That's what I'm talking about. I watched part of an episode,
Right.
but I don't think I've ever watched any episode all the way through of the animated
I
series.
distinctly remember watching it when I was very small, but it's been a long time.
Yeah.
The praying mantis crew member
Helmsman.
took me out of it. I'm sorry.
It's gonna be interesting for us because we said we stay positive.
Gene,
There's enough channels out there that tear things down and beat things up, but we'll see. We're still committed to be honest to each other on this, on what we watch.
We're
So.
gonna boldly go where no one's been lately.
I don't believe that there's any YouTube reviews of the animated series. I looked for them, but I don't know.
I've seen someone posting the episodes, but I
Yeah.
haven't seen anyone reviewing.
Yeah, and maybe we'll find out why.
So that's it for episode 8, Mirror Part 2. If you have no idea what you're talking about, go back and find episode 7, Mirror Part 1. Hit like and subscribe, and we will be beaming back to you again soon with another episode of Men on Trek.